I need to learn how to play that guitar riff.
That's what I said when we were here last week.
Did you?
You should learn how to play it, and then you play it for the intro instead of us playing that song.
I think that would be good because I always you had that that one time I was like, and you put it at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, because we're muted to everybody else while that little intro plays, but I still have your recordings for whatever you're doing in that 1 minute that it plays.
Usually I'm going.
Welcome back, everybody. It has been a long time. I mean, you guys, most of you were here probably Friday night, but I mean, since we did an actual recorded podcast, it's been a good minute. I think it's since December.
Yeah, I want to say it's probably because I think the last podcast the last live stream podcast, whatever the fuck you want to call what we do, I think it was a hangout, right? Wasn't the last one a Friday night hangout? So I mean, if you're going off technically the podcast, it was even the week before
Thanksgiving.
That. Yeah. I mean, it was a long time ago. I tell you what, and I had to go down and get the old cortada. I was like, I got the whiskey lined up for tonight. I was sitting here waiting to start, and I had everything set up, and I'm like, oh fuck, I am surprisingly tired already, and we got a few hours. I can't be droggy during this thing, man. So
that was me last week.
I'll start. I'm starting off with you got to take the uppers before you take the downers. That's how it works.
Yeah. So last week I got here at the office at 8, but I was on 4 hours of sleep and I was still here. I'd never left until we did the live stream. And then I didn't leave the office until 1 a.m. So I was here from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. It was a long day,
dude.
Before we go any further, I gotta clear the air on this.
Okay. Clear the air. Clear it.
Clear the air. Friday, you were telling me that the Nkosi was built different.
Oh, Jesus, here
and you can't.
This isn't clear in the air. This isn't clear in the air.
Flick it open. It's different.
This isn't clear in the air. This is subterfuge. Okay, because you have a little bitty one. This doesn't count. This is totally different.
It doesn't matter.
My 8-year-old daughter could flick that thing open.
Apparently not, and apparently you can't either because the Nkosi.
I can't flick the Big Daddy, not that little mini ass thing you flicked all proudly like you did something with that 1.5 inch blade. Come on, man! Yeah, look at that. Look how small that thing is.
Every Chris Reeve knife that I've ever tried, I can do it too.
I can flick this one open too, but it just requires just ever so slight wrist flick.
I guarantee you.
See that one? See, if you don't give it a little.
I guarantee you that this one here, the Newman, is harder to flick than the Nkosi. Guaranteed. No question.
It goes, right? You can, if you really put your thumb behind it, it goes. But my point is, it doesn't flick like a knife that like has a hard detail.
Now you're walking it back.
No, I'm not walking it back. I'm just saying it has a different. They say the way these bushings are made, they're made differently. Chris Reeves says that, motherfucker, not me. Okay, so talk to the guy that makes the knife.
You can also front flip it. Can you front flip it?
No, I cannot front flip this one.
Yeah, there you go.
I
think that is case closed, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody needs to get Jeremy away to work out his fingers.
Let me ask you something.
He's got some weak baby hands.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever done pull-ups with the where you don't use a bar? There's these big metal balls that you grab a hold of for grip strength, and you do pull-ups with them?
No, I have not.
Okay. I can do a bunch of pull-ups with those. So when you come over, I'm going to have you jump up there and let's see who's got better grip strength.
I'm not talking about grip strength. I'm talking about the build of the Nkosi.
You said I had baby hands, bitch. That was your exact words.
Well, if you can't flick the Nkosi without having to give it a little wrist action, then
it really isn't a strength thing because it's that it opens, the detent isn't very strong and there's like a weird amount of resistance. So it just does that, right? It's not like it's a hard time getting it open. It pops right open, but then it just does that and stops.
Well, this one did it when I first got it, but it took about 3 months to get this thing really broken in.
And it may be that this, because I've only got this at Christmas and I didn't carry it much because then I got that ProTech right after and I fell in love with that thing. And honestly, that ProTech's been in my pocket for like a month. But see, And the reason I say that is because I was about to send it back. And the reason I say it was built different is I was about to send it back when I got it because I thought, well, that's weird. Something's wrong, right? Because I thought maybe the detent wasn't machined quite right or something. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, well, that's just strange, right? So I started doing some research, and then on the Chris Reeve site and on YouTube and stuff, they were talking about how because of the washers, it was actually made different than the rest of the Chris Reeve knives, and it wasn't really meant to do that. So that's where I got that from.
Right, but they say the same thing about the Sabenza, that it's not supposed to be flicked.
Right. But this there's like, I don't know if you can see, supposedly this one has the biggest.
Yeah,
bronze. I mean, they actually go out to the edge of the scale. They're fucking huge.
They match the shape of the scale.
Right. And then they've got huge holes in them for like
speed.
It's a lovely knife though, dude.
Speed holes.
It's a lovely.
I just wanted to clear the air. But we have another
shit. We have another dispute. This is why this is called Whiskey Knife Fight, because we're always fighting about something.
Seriously, we fight more than I think we fight with our respective significant others.
Dude, I told you, you are my internet wife.
Wait, why do I have to be the wife?
Okay, you're my internet partner. Internet, what's the word? Life partner.
Oh.
Hey, man, we're equal opportunity around here. I ain't judging nobody. I ain't not judging nobody for their preferences.
Unless they're vegan, right?
Unless they're vegan or they drink Truly, then they can suck a dick.
So can I just say the one thing I meant to do before I came back to the office, I meant to go by the store because Jeremy sent me this Chad, because we know Jeremy can't ship shit. Chad sent me some sweet merchandise here. Good old flask and a whiskey tumbler. And
that's the first tumbler you got? You never got one the first time around when we
No.
God, Jesus Christ, dude. That's ridiculous. How's that tumbler there? That's a heavy bitch, isn't it?
This thing is easily the nicest whiskey glass I've ever had, for sure. Like, no question about it. It's the perfect size. And it feels like you could smack somebody in the head with it.
That's what I was about to say. And if somebody breaks into your joint while you're drinking a whiskey, you can just be like, whack, and just bludgeon them in the head with it, and that thing would make it through.
But I meant to do it this week, but I am promising you guys here right now, next week, I am going to keep this whiskey flask full of Truly. I'm going to pour
Taylor
cans into the flask and drink from the flask next week.
So you mentioned this today in a text message, and I said, bitch, I will never send you another piece of merch in your life.
The reason I don't take that for what say is that Chad. You haven't sent me anything. Chad sent it.
I've got pull. I could be like, Chad, he's gonna fuck up the sales of our merch because he's just sacrilege going on now.
Okay, so to be fair, if I'm showing people that they can drink Truly out of this, I am at least quadrupling your sales.
Here's I actually joke around. I think we should on the podcast get all the flavors of Truly and try. Or maybe we should compare White Claw to Truly to I'm sure fucking other companies have their version.
We should blind test the best seltzers.
Yeah, just as a joke. I guarantee they all taste like shit. I mean, I say
they're not like great.
I say they're probably good. They just probably taste like. Okay, here's the thing. Do they taste anything like what's that shit that people drink? The water drink that everybody drinks. No, my wife actually has a 12-pack of those in our refrigerator right now. Those are almost good.
Almost good. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Bubbly, there's Perrier, there's Lacroix.
Lacroix is the worst shit I've ever had in my life. Lacroix reminds me, like I tried I think it was like an orange or a lemon, and it reminded me of somebody ate a lemon and then farted over a water cup. Like it has like the faintest, like why bother? Just make it fucking water. It doesn't taste like anything.
So the difference in like Truly and me drinking beer or whiskey, if I'm drinking beer or whiskey, I'm drinking it to enjoy it, right? And I don't normally drink to get drunk. I don't think I've ever really drank to get drunk, but that's really why those things exist. You don't drink them because they taste good.
but all that like seltzer water, right? Not even the alcohol stuff, just like all the bubbly waters. Like, just don't. Like,
I mean, I drink them.
It just like
these are not Alex's.
I think LaCroix people drink LaCroix to seem fancy because it tastes like shit.
I drink it because I do go through a lot of water. I drink a couple of these a day, or at least I try to. Sometimes I just get bored of plain water, and I've already had too much coffee, and I don't like soda.
Right, I get that. So
that's I want a little bit of carbonation without like 80 grams of sugar.
Well, you know what I do like, strangely enough, and this might even be more bougie than LaCroix, but I actually do like it, unlike LaCroix, which tastes like somebody drank a Sprite and then burped in my mouth. Like, that's what LaCroix reminds me of. What's the Italian Pellegrino, right? Pellegrino, and then like put a squeeze a lemon in it, or a lime, or a lemon and lime, whatever. That's good, right? That just tastes like refreshing and good. LaCroix just tastes, like I said, it has like, it was like the hints of something that might have been like what I used to do was keep a 20-ounce bottle. So I go get a LaCroix, or not a LaCroix, but like a Perrier in a 20-ounce bottle or something. And then on my old channel, I had a video where I showed how to make your own seltzer water without having to go buy a soda stream or something. And I would literally just fill that with water, hook it up to the CO2 tank, shake it up. Yeah. And I had just plain seltzer water like that. Yeah. I mean, most of the day I just drink water, man. I just keep my Yeti full of water, and I just drink, but I do get the like wanting a little something different occasionally, just especially like when I'm eating food. When I'm eating food, I like to have a little something different. But like LaCroix, man, I seriously think what they do at LaCroix is they don't actually have any kind of flavorings. They buy like old soda cans, like used to have Sprite in it, and then they just fill it with seltzer water, because it's like a ghost of something that used to be good. You know what I mean? It's like the most useless shit ever. I think people just drink it to be bougie.
Okay, before we go any further,
I'm drinking a triple shot right now, bitches, so it's going to be live tonight.
Great, yeah. Great. First one back. What's in your pocket? Everybody knows what's in my pocket because it's barely changed.
What I just had.
Oh, you're in Cosi.
In Cosi. Hey, you fucked up your flip last week too, ho.
Come on.
You did. I remember.
The old Zahn is in my pocket. So I have a Chris Reeve Newman Zahn.
Oh, dude, we're all Chris Reeve up tonight, huh?
We are. And I can't focus for some reason. And those people listening to the audio podcast, Jeremy has a Chris Reeve Nkosi.
Full time.
Those are not micarta inlays. Those are.
No, they are. They're not. They're the micarta.
Oh, they're micarta. Okay.
Yeah.
And on the wrist, what do you got? What do you got going for us on the wrist tonight?
You see the micarta now?
Yes.
On the wrist, I always take it off because I figure it's easier to show it to the camera.
Here I am taking mine off too. Oh, the old Tudor.
The old Tudor Black Bay.
Tudor, and I am wearing for actually not the first time in a while. I've been wearing this a lot lately. The Marathon Tsar. Actually, I was wearing this on Friday. I've been wearing it a lot.
Actually, now I think about it, I've got a little bit of a bouge carry going today by accident. I've got a Tudor and a Chris Reeve knife. That's a bit bougie for me, but it's okay.
Is it? That's like the normal you now, though.
Well, I do wear this Tudor a lot. Although I don't feel like Tudors are bougie, right? I feel like it's like the affordable man's Rolex, right?
Still a $5,000 watch.
It is, but
affordable. You sound like Gear Patrol now.
No, but what I'm saying is
like, get this amazing watch now more affordable, and I click it, and they're like, it's now only $20,000 instead of 21, and I'm like, who's that affordable to? Like,
no, but I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Tudor kind of has a reputation of being like the working man's Rolex, right? Or no?
I don't know. I'm not a Rolex guy.
Because they're made by Rolex, they all the things, but obviously there's not a Rolex at the $5,000 price point, or not even $5. You can get into Tudor for about $3,500, right? I think for
a little bit less than what you paid for that watch. I got a new vehicle. Just say it.
I mean, there's something to be said about that.
I was talking about like different ways I could have afforded that thing with some of my friends the other day. Like, I mean, it's not that much. I paid $4,000 for a Land Rover, which I just uploaded a video over on the channel if you want to see that. But I was talking about, I was like, man, I could literally right now, I'm driving in it and I'm like, I could sell the watch I have on my wrist, the knife and the pen, and I've covered like over 3/4 of the price of this car.
Yeah.
Well, damn.
Well, I mean, you start getting into like some of the, not even getting into some of the crazy, just some of the Rolexes. Don't even get into some of like the, what's the fucking one that I love? APs and stuff like that. APs, you could buy a fucking brand new, fully loaded Chevy Silverado maxed out. You could just about buy a Raptor for some of the prices you could get on them APs.
Yeah.
So
true.
watches get crazy, man. They get crazy.
And I'm glad that you mentioned Raptor. Yeah. Because today we're talking about trucks.
We are talking trucks.
And earlier today, Jeremy and I,
me and Taylor
I know this sounds crazy because we rarely ever disagree on anything. Jeremy and I always agree on everything, always.
I feel like we agree on the important shit.
But
like watches, trucks.
We talked about what we were going to, we decided what we were going to talk about earlier this week. And we decided we were going to talk about trucks because Jeremy is planning on buying one. I bought one last year. And then this weekend, I bought a truck. And Jeremy said, I told him I was going to go take some pictures for the thumbnail. And I send him a whole bunch of pictures of my new Land Rover. And he's like, what's the name of the podcast? What's this episode again? And I said, every dude should have a truck. And he's like, why don't you send me a picture of a truck?
Well, and I'll be curious to see what the chat says because here's my thing about a truck. I'm not saying Land Rover's not awesome. I think it's an awesome vehicle. I've had several Jeeps. I think Jeeps are awesome. I think Broncos are awesome. I think a lot of these things are awesome, but they're not trucks. They're not a truck. And I said, if it doesn't have a bed, it's not a truck. And then you're like, well, what about a cargo van or a cargo truck?
Box truck.
Right. Box truck. And I sent you the definition of truck and I rephrased. Okay. It has to have a cargo area, right? Like it has
in the back.
No, I don't mean like a place to put your case of Truly. I mean like a place to haul like legit shit. Like you got to be able to fit a 4-wheeler in that motherfucker, right? Like if you
almost fit a 4-wheeler in that, just saying. I don't even know if I can fit a 4-wheeler in the bed of my AT4. So
you can because I can fit a 4-wheeler in my truck, and my truck is smaller than yours.
Tailgate has to go down though.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. Well, it depends on the 4-wheeler. My brother-in-law had a small like what the hell was that?
Blaster?
No, it was like a Rancher 3. It was like one of the smaller 4-wheelers, and I could fit it in my truck and barely put the. Now he couldn't because he had a toolbox in his truck, which pushed everything back. But in my truck, I don't have a toolbox. We could fit in there. I had a Foreman 450 with huge tires on it, and I couldn't fit that in there without the tailgate being down.
Well,
but my point is, in order to be a truck, right? It has to have the ability to haul shit. Like you got to be able to go to the fucking thing and get a dump load of mulch put in the back of your car to bring home and do some shit, or pick up like some sheets of plywood. You're not doing that in a Land Rover, bro.
It's a truck.
It's not a truck. I mean, it's
on a truck frame.
Well, a lot of SUVs are on truck frame. My wife's SUV is
so an SUV is basically like a subset of a truck.
Right. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I do think
I don't feel right calling it. I can't just say, gonna go hop in the SUV. So that's where this whole discussion actually started, was after I bought it. I got home and I'm trying to figure out how to naturally like refer to it. And a lot of people call them discos. It doesn't feel right to me. I don't want to say Land Rover every single time. Rover is just So I was sitting there talking to Alex and I'm like, I want to go drive the new truck. And she's like, that's not a truck. I'm like, and she's like, is my Honda Pilot a truck? And I'm like, no. And she's like, then your Land Rover's not a truck. And I'm like, look, Land Rover and the Honda Pilot are very different vehicles. So mine's a truck. Yours
here's
is.
the thing. I may be on the losing side of the knife opening situation, but I'm not on the losing side of this one. Everybody in this motherfucker is like, that's not a truck. Your old lady is like, that's not a truck.
You know whose opinion that I would hold over everyone else's here?
Who's that?
Zach. And I'm pretty sure Zach would call that a truck.
I don't think he would, man. I mean, it's hard to call anything that, and because the text I sent you joking around was, I was like, no bed, no truck, end of story, full stop. And you're like,
he sends me screenshots of definitions of a truck, and literally none of them say anything about a bed. And I'm like, doesn't say anything about a bed. It's a truck.
My theory wasn't though the actual bed thing. It was that for the function of the bed, right? Meaning it's meant to haul stuff, right? It's meant to carry cargo of some nature, which is, a truck. But you've got a truck. You've got an awesome truck. I love your truck. See, the other thing you have is not a truck.
This guy knows what I'm talking about. Zach calls vans trucks, though. Thank you, Chris Clark. He does.
I get for the simple aspect of it's not a car, right? It's definitely not a car. And saying SUV is like, so I get just for like simplicity of nomenclature, just calling it a truck, but in the real sense of the thing, it's not a truck, right?
Sure, I hear you.
Like,
but it's a truck.
Like with my Jeeps, I never called them trucks. I just call them, that Jeeps are a funny one, right? I guess because it's such a short word, Jeep, that I just called it my Jeep. I never said car or truck. I was always like, I'm going to jump the Jeep.
Right. But it's got an open bed, technically.
Well, some of them do, right? Some of the new ones are, and they had some of the older ones back in the day where they actually had like a little truck bed in the back of a Jeep. So
a Bronco got that shell, but you can take it off. You have an open bed.
So can you call the Jeeps that have a truck bed a truck, but the Jeeps that don't have the truck bed a Jeep? Or are they just all Jeeps? This is going to get very fucking convoluted.
They're all trucks.
I can't go with you on that.
But there's a cutoff. There's a fine cutoff. Whenever they started looking like spaceships and getting all bubbly and,
like my wife's car, certainly not. She's got a Tahoe.
Honda Pilot.
Certainly not a truck. I mean, a Tahoe is if I'm not mistaken, is on the same chassis as my truck. If I'm not mistaken, a Tahoe and a Silverado are on the same chassis, aren't they? Like a Tahoe, a Suburban, and aren't they all on the same chassis?
I think so. And then you've got, like, again, going back to the Honda Pilot, since that's what's relevant to me, they have the Honda Ridgeline. But if I'm going to be honest, the Ridgeline is not a truck.
Hold on. A car that actually has a vehicle that actually has a truck bed that is considered technically a truck, you say is not a truck.
I mean, have you seen them? It's a Honda Pilot with a bed on it.
I agree. That's not a fucking truck.
It's like,
I agree. That's
sorry. It's the most gimped truck on the market. Like it's not a truck.
I agree. It's a weird thing. Although, that new thing Elon Musk is doing is weird as fuck, but I would call that a truck. That thing's badass.
Is it really a truck though?
Yeah, dude, it's got a bed, and it's even, if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw a video where it's got ramps that like automatically come out so you can load four-wheelers and shit in the back of it. Like that's some pimp ass shit is what that is. So I mean, for if you go back to the definition of its primary intent is to haul things, right? Or, I mean, that shit can haul stuff. I think I saw them put full-size four-wheelers in there.
That's true.
So I mean, I don't know. That thing is crazy looking. It looks like something from fucking Tron.
So who is this guy? Let's get rid of him. That guy. I was trying to thanks for moving, chat. Anyway, the reason that I think that this is really relevant is and I'm just busting balls. I don't care if I call it a truck or whatever. I just don't know what to call it, is basically what I'm getting at. But
it's a
I talked to Zach.
What do they call those things? They have a name for them. Like an Overlander or something?
Well, yeah, but they call them SUVs because that's what they are.
Oh, okay, I got you.
That's a really good point. I mean, I know we're not supposed to be reading the chat, but I'm pulling a Jeremy tonight.
You're the one that always calls me on that. I don't care.
I know. But Chad said, "What's an El Camino then?" It has an open bed, but it's not really on a truck frame.
An El Camino, and that's where it goes down to. And it starts. I think you guys didn't tell me my table was crooked. And that's where it goes into the. I mean, do you base a truck? I think, what was the definition of truck? It was a what was it? I probably still have it on my phone. It had a couple criteria. One of them being like being able to haul cargo, right? But I think the other one was like a large bodied something, or it had some
heavy was one of the indicators.
Like heavy
Hey,
body.
I'll tell you what, that Land Rover's heavy as shit.
For sure, but I don't think an El Camino would be, right? Like an El Camino is like a car chassis, so probably El Caminos are badass though, man.
They are.
I like an El Camino.
But anyway, I was talking with Zach last week, and I don't know how much of this I should talk about because I think it'd be really cool to have some like, look what we're doing, but at the same time, this is super relevant. He said he wants to road trip out here once things kind of calm down a little bit. And he wants to do a 72-hour build with me. So he's going to come here. You're going to stay up for days, buy like a geo tracker or something. And he said he wanted to do a series with me called Will It Truck. So convert like an SUV into a truck in 72 hours and just take it off road and see how it operates as a truck. This is a Zach idea. So I don't think it's fully fleshed out, but I'm game. I'm game.
Crazy ideas, and he's got some crazy builds I've seen him doing of like you said, like Geo Metros and shit that he puts on like monster truck tires and puts a V8 engine in them.
Yeah, he was
you're like, what the fuck is going on? It's like the Frankenstein car, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he also is one of the people that talked me into getting this Land Rover. So
I like it. I like it. Oh, before we
he did, and Jay of Yellow Birch Outfitters is another who talked me into this. So here we are.
What do you before? Because we kind of skipped over this. We normally do it at the beginning. We did our pocket dump. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, first it's in the old leaf and barrel tumbler, and this thing is.
You're a good man. You're a good man for putting that on there.
And, dude, I've actually had this a couple times now, and I'm really enjoying it. This is the Bullet Bourbon Single Barrel, picked by the local Bourbon Club of Concord.
You know, I don't think I've had the Bullet Single Barrel. Now, I know I wouldn't be able to have that particular one because that's a pick but just in general, the Bullet Single Barrel, you know, you can get them that aren't store picks or not club picks or just the Bullet Single Barrel. And I think that's one that I haven't had. I've had the 10-year, I've had the rye. What's the other one they have? I think they have a barrel proof.
Yeah.
There's a few different ones. I think I've had just about all of them.
Interrupt you for just a second. I got to show you something. I don't know if I showed you earlier, but look at this.
Hey, go ahead. What am I looking at?
Do you see what this is?
It's a wee beastie, man.
It's a wee beastie sealed. It's not the one you sent me.
Oh, you found one.
I found a halfway decent liquor store.
What?
Downside is, so I actually, in the vlog that I posted just a little bit ago, I went on a big detour. I was going to just go get the title 10 minutes down the road for the Land Rover or get the title swapped and all that. And my friend Jordan is in my office and he's like, let's go to Albemarle. And I'm like, why are we going to go to Albemarle? It's 30 minutes away. And he's like, they have this really cool military surplus thing. And then I think you should check it out. I'm like, I'm game. So we went there. And Albemarle is where that ABC store that people in the chat for this podcast are telling me to go. So I was like, you know what? We'll make a day of it. And I went, and they had an Ard bag that I'd never heard of. I sent you a picture of it. It was $300 for the bottle.
It was like black. It had like a bunch of A's in it, right?
A-L-A-A-A-A-K.
That must be their thing, like Ardbeg Black and Ard. They must be all about like dragging out the words on the special.
Yeah, but there was a really good selection, and there were empty spots on the shelves where there were things that, like, they had a spot for Eagle Rare, which is, you know, it was empty, but they had a limit, one per customer for Eagle Rare. I can't find it anywhere around here. So
I just had somebody reach out to me on email, some Eagle Rare rep or something, said they wanted to do something and send me a bottle of Eagle Rare and do something with Eagle Rare. I didn't read the whole email because I was catching up on stuff, but I'll have to look back in that.
I'd love to try it again now after, you know, having tried so many different things. Okay. Anyway, I cut you off.
No,
what's in your glass?
Nothing yet, but what I am going to crack into first, I got two for the night because I usually get two because usually it takes me Usually get more than one throughout the podcast. And I usually go ahead and set them aside so I don't have to get up and try to go back there. But anyway, first one I'm going to pour is going to be, where's my focus pointer? It is. Well, Old Forester single barrel. And this is a store pick, right? So it's not a club pick like yours, but this is Shores Liquor. It's one of the stores I go to. It's a local liquor store around here, and they do some really good picks. And I haven't drank this lately because if you can see, it's going kind of fast. It is one of my favorite bottles I have. So I haven't drank it in weeks and weeks because I'm trying to reserve it because they're all gone. I went try to get more the other day. He's like, no, dude, they bought a whole barrel and it's all gone. I was bummed out.
I also found another bottle of 1920.
1920 is the nectar, man. That stuff is, I don't know of too many whiskey people that will disagree that that's not one of the better bottles of bourbon on the shelf that you can regularly get, right?
Yep. This is what's going in the glass next. By the by.
See, that shit is just so goddamn, it gives me like there's blood flow going to the region, if you know what I'm saying. Like
prostate region.
Oh God. It's so good. Oh, and I thought I saw, and I know we don't read chat, but I thought I saw somebody saying in chat they got their lighter and it sucks. And I was like, what? It's a Zippo, man. How can it suck? I don't know what he was talking. Can't find the comment now, but I thought I saw somebody say that the Zippo sucks. I'm like, dude, it's a fucking Zippo. How can you be mad at a Zippo? Zippos are awesome. Love Zippos, man. Like I've used this particular one for months now. Chad's got 1920 in the glass, baby. I got to pull up the YouTube chat because I've got the StreamYard chat up and it fucks everything up. Hold on. Whiskey. Stop. Why are you doing that? Hey.
Jeez. What was that, Jeremy?
That was a fucking YouTube. I pulled up the thing because I want to pull up the YouTube chat instead of looking at the chat. And
you're not supposed to be reading the chat, Jeremy.
I mean, I glance. You know what I'm saying? I glance.
Look at this. Live on air unboxing. I actually haven't opened this yet.
Oh, Jesus.
So just this.
There we go.
Jesus, Jeremy. What a boomer.
I'm trying to get the fucking chat open on YouTube because I usually do a pop-out chat for YouTube because I feel like that chat is doing different things than the StreamYard chat does. Which one do you look at? I know you're not looking all the time, but I mean, when you look at the chat, are you looking at a chat in YouTube or are you looking at StreamYard?
I'm not because we're doing a podcast.
You still have to glance.
Wow, I was about to tell you that this thing sucks, Jeremy. This little
great.
Leaf and barrel lighter sucks. Look at this; it won't even open. And then I realized there's a sticker on the back.
A sticker on the back.
It's like, what the hell is wrong with this thing, Jeremy?
Like, bullshit! It won't open. Oh, there's a sticker on the back.
Well, yep, that's a Zippo.
Yeah, man. I don't know what he was saying. I don't know who that. I don't see it now, but he.
I went and got my other brass Zippo because this one is the armored Zippo, and my brass one is not.
I thought he was going to say, "Oh, I got my Zippo today. It was awesome," and then I thought he said it sucked, and I'm like, "What? Like, how are you saying that about a fucking Zippo, man? Zippos are key, bro."
A loud ass train. There we go. This is not your insert, but very nice.
This one comes with both, right? So it comes with, and this is also the armor.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Yeah. So it's a little bit thicker, right? So it's supposed to hold up a little better. It's supposed to last a little longer. But it comes with two inserts, right? So it comes with the jet for people that are whiskey snobs and don't want to light their Zippo, and it comes with your standard old Zippo insert that announced at the beginning of time.
So he meant to say that it was sick, not that it sucks.
Go. I was like, I was like, oh Jesus. I'm like, how does it suck, man? It's a fucking. We even got the nicer Zippos, right? We got the armor plate ones.
I'm dropping it on my MacBook.
Once these sell out, which I don't know how many we've got left, but once these sell out, we're going to do a version 2, just like the man cards. Yeah, that's what my other Zippo looks like. Good old, had it for like years. They start looking so good after you've had them for a while. They get that.
I force patinaed this one at Rick's with some liver of sulfur.
They get that. They get that. They get that You have the button, man.
I know I have the button. I'm trying to imply that you have buttons too, and you don't use them.
Patina.
God, that button is so loud tonight.
Oh, I can't even hear it.
Wow, dude.
Patina.
Blow my eardrums out. It's so loud.
But yeah, this is the difference in a brand new and a patinaed.
Yes.
Oh.
And I think this time I did the polished. I think
Yeah.
next time I'm going to do the brushed just to keep it different, for people that like the shiny shit, for people that like the brush stuff.
Yeah, it's nice. Thanks. Would have been nicer if you shipped it with some butane in it.
They won't let you.
I know. And since we're like just plugging Jeremy here, this thing is pretty freaking nice too. The old flask.
I'm pretty pumped about that flask, man. That drops Friday, by the way.
I have a really good picture planned.
Dude, if you put a picture like that, some truly just
so
don't fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Don't what's the word? Goddamn.
Disparage.
Disparage is one. Anyway, do not disparage launch day with your shenanigans.
I have to now. So what Alex told me I should do is, those pictures Peter does of like pouring something like a long pour.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking of going and like getting my lights set up and doing a photo with this thing set up and doing a long pour of some Truly into the flask.
You have a hard time long pouring Truly into that flask. That's a little opening.
You get a funnel on the top of it, but you can do some tricks.
It comes with a funnel. Did he send you a funnel?
Yeah.
He sent you the whole wooden box and everything, right?
Yeah, and the leather.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be offered. I think we talked about last week. It was going to be offered. You can either just buy the flask, or you can buy the flask and the sleeve. I fear we might run out of the sleeves though, because we have less sleeves than we do glass flasks. So we might run out of the sleeves, but you'll be able to buy them separately after the fact. If I think we're going to discount them if you buy them together, though. I think.
I really think I should take this to Rick's and laser some shit around the beard.
Laser some. I don't know. I don't think that's lasered on there. I think that's like.
Oh, it's okay. It doesn't have to be matching. I just need it for a picture.
Yeah, see, they said don't taint the flash drop, man. You can't taint the flash drop. The sleeves, yes, sleeves. I don't know why I say it like that.
Okay. We are deep into the weeds.
Trucks, though, if we are talking about trucks, I'm a big truck guy.
What a transition.
I was trying to go just back on course, man. Squirrel. My plan is to get, I think you say I should get a GMC, but I've always gotten Chevy.
No, I give everybody shit. Like my friend, actually the guy who I went to Albemarle with, he's been just, every time I have to pull up to the coffee shop, he's just like, I hate you, because he wants one, but he's not going to buy an AT4. So I'm just giving you shit like that. Kind of like Peter is like, buy a Raptor.
Right.
Buy a Raptor.
I would honestly love a Raptor, especially the new one that's coming out that has, I think the new one actually has a V8, right? Because the current one's a V6 that's turbocharged, right?
Dual turbo, yeah.
Right. I think they're coming out with a V8 that's either turbo or supercharged or something, and I think it's got like 800 fucking horsepower or something, something crazy, man. And I'm like, oh my God. It's so
like the
aggressive.
TRX, like the Ram TRX is just, it's fucking stupid, like in the best way possible.
Yeah.
I don't like the way that Rams look, especially like the grill area. But the TRX, I would own it. If I had $90,000 to put into a truck, sure. But I don't. That's why I went GMC. I love the way the outside of that truck looks. Like most trucks on the market right now, I'm not a huge fan of them.
And here's the thing, and people will argue that this or that, or they had an experience. They bought a Ford and it fell apart, or they bought a Chevy and it was a piece of shit, or blah, 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 blah. Okay. You're going to have one-off stories like that where people, but in general, by and large, I feel like most of the big truck companies, meaning Ford, Chevy, Dodge, they all make a good product these days. right? Like
For the most part, yeah.
for the most part, they all make a good product. They might have certain models that are better than other models of other, but whatever. But I mean, they're all pretty damn good for the most part. I think it's really just up to personal preference. What features you want, what like you say, what grill you like better. Like I like the grill of this one better than that one or whatever. But I've had like my truck I've had for it's a 2010. So I mean I've had it for 11 years, got 120 some odd thousand miles on it.
Dude, that's pretty low miles for a car that old.
Well, for the last couple of years, I haven't drove much working from home, YouTube and all, but I used to put a lot of miles on my car. But the only problem I had with it is the clear coat's flaking off and that's not the truck's fault. That's because the Florida sun, if you don't have a car in a garage and it sits out in that Florida sun and bakes and bakes and bakes, odds are after 10 or 15 years, your clear coat's going to be fucked.
It also probably has something to do with you being at the coast.
Well, true.
Like sand and
right. So, yeah. I mean, that's not the truck's fault. But other than that, man, I have never had one problem out of that truck in 130,000 miles. Not one. Not a one. Now, it is at 130,000 miles starting to have some like cosmetic shit. Like I said, that I do have one window. It's an electric window, and something's wrong with the panel. It works on the one side, but on my side, it doesn't want to roll up. But I mean, that's it. In 130,000 miles in 12 years, I had one electrical issue and a clear coat. That's it. End of story. So, I mean, I can't complain, man.
See, and I got a Tacoma because they're the beacon of reliability. Like that's what they're known for. And
sorry, I left Toyota out of that list. Actually, that's really rude. Toyota is definitely in the list of like, iconic trucks.
Well, the problem I had with the Toyota is I bought it because when I got my Tacoma, that was the only truck you could get with a manual gearbox. And I wanted all 4-wheel drive with a manual gearbox. So I got a Tacoma. It's all you could get. So I got it. And they had just swapped the clutch on it when I bought it. 6,000 miles later, clutch goes out. I'm just like, hitting me. Swap the clutch. Within, I want to say 2,000 miles, throwout bearing goes out, and they had just swapped the throwout bearing. And I'm like,
what?
Like when you do the clutch, you just do it all because the cost is your labor. I mean, the whole clutch kit's like $130. The labor is like $6.
And how many miles did you say was on his car? He's probably said, and I missed it.
Oh, when I bought it, it had like 50,000.
And that was already having these problems.
Yeah. So whoever had it before me
didn't know how to drive a stick.
Clearly, because you ruin a clutch in 50,000 miles. Like, come on.
No, I had stuff with many more miles. But the clutch was fine.
Then I started looking into it, and there's a problem with the Tacoma clutch mechanism. Like they have I don't even know what linkage it is, but it's made out of aluminum and it bends. And then you need the whole new clutch kit shortly thereafter. Like if it's not done just right, it'll go out almost immediately. And I know how to drive a clutch. I've been driving straight drive since I was 16. Like I know how to drive a manual vehicle, but
that's what I learned to drive a car on. 4 on the floor, man. Old 1983 CJ7. There was about 1.5 miles in between gears, man. It was like first, second, third, fourth. I mean, there was some space in between them gears, bud.
Yeah, dude, like a little sidebar here. No trucks. I had a FRS for a few years. That's Toyota's at the time it was a Scion. That little sports car, front engine, rear wheel drive sports car. And the shift on it was like 2 inches at most. It's like, oh, dude, that thing was so much fun to drive. Didn't have a lot of power, wasn't super fast, but just shifting those gears was just like, I loved the shit out of that car. The reason I got rid of it is because I couldn't go anywhere. I was trying to get out of a driveway in the mountains, and it was just like a hassle trying to get that car out of the driveway. And then that's not even like a low car, but I went from that to a Tacoma.
Well, I'm fortunate that I learned to drive on stick, but I learned to drive on stick in Florida, right? Which is flat for the most part. I didn't have to learn a lot of the whole, like stopped on a steep incline and having to like engage the clutch and hit the gas without like backing up into the car behind you in traffic. I never had to deal with a lot of that in Florida.
So my dad taught me how to drive a stick shift when I was about 7.
Right.
And the way he did it, like we had a few cars around and we had a big farm, and I would just, drive out there a little bit, but he took me. So we lived in the foothills of North Carolina. So there's mountains everywhere and big steep hills everywhere.
Uh-huh.
So he took me. I don't even know where we were. Couldn't tell you. But he took me off to some weird backwoods road that was like this. And he's like, all right, time to learn to drive. And I'm like, what? And I mean, dude, you take your foot off the brake and that thing is
dude, it's sketchy if you've never done that. That was the sketchiest part about driving a stick. And I did have, even though we don't have hills, I had a couple times where there was like, I was on a ramp or something that was, had an incline, and man, you put that clutch in, the car starts going that way. As soon as you take your foot off the brake, it's going the opposite direction. So that I think I might even have a little bit of a problem with that now, because I haven't driven a stick in probably 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, it comes back to you really quick.
I'm sure it would. And I had like dirt bikes and four-wheelers and all kinds, even though four-wheelers generally don't have clutches, they just have you let off the gas and thumb shift.
Yeah, some of them have a grip clutch.
No, some of them do. All the ones I had were like the more like four-wheel drive. Like a lot of the ones that are like the race four-wheelers, like quads, those tend to have like clutches, but like most of the like, four-wheel drive, like hunting woods kind of ones, it's just thumb. Most of
those
them.
Are
all the ones I've had.
I thought those were just considered autos. Like you have to manually shift it, but there's no clutch.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, like I had a four-wheeler when I was growing up. It had a foot shift, but there was no clutch.
My first one had a foot shift, but
they just called them autos because we had four-wheelers with clutches too.
My most recent one I had, it was a thumb shift. It was like a shift over here and a thing over here, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a few years since I've had it, but I'm thinking that's how it was. I'm
going to buy a quad this year, I'm sure, of some sort.
Dude, I just need more space, man. Like,
well, my family has like 300 acres, so not here, but I'd have to like load it up and drive to the land. But man, I'd love nothing more than that.
I loved my four-wheeler, man. It was a camo. It was a Honda Foreman 550. 550. Is that what their Foremans come in? Is it a 550? I don't remember the exact size of it, but it was a big old beast of a four-wheel drive, had a winch on the front, had big, huge mud tires on it, had a snorkel. You could take that fucking thing through a river. I mean, it would go through anything. I loved that thing, but I didn't get to ride it enough. And it was huge, man. It took up like almost a bay in the garage. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a small, like Cooper minis are about the same size as this thing. You know what I mean? So it was either have a gym in the garage or have a four-wheeler. And so we got rid of the four-wheeler and I put a gym in the garage.
See, growing up, we were always dirt bikes. Always dirt bikes. I think I got my first one when I was 5 or 6, like a little Honda 50.
Mm-hmm.
The only four-wheeler I really had growing up, we had a couple like when I was a little older, but the only one we really had for a long time was a Blaster.
Mm-hmm.
That thing was a hell of a lot of fun. Thing would fly. I loved it.
Blaster.
I guess it's a Kawasaki, I guess.
That's like the 2-stroke job.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like I always
beep.
Like mine would not barely pull the front tires off because it was so heavy in the front because it was four-wheel drive.
Yamaha. Yeah,
Chad's
got a Yamaha plate.
Those things just in the back tires are about that wide. The axle on the back's generally about so you can like haul ass around corners and stuff. That's a totally different thing than the kind of four-wheelers I've normally had.
Yeah, like we didn't have four-wheelers like what you're talking about, but people in our family did, and I would ride those.
Right. It's a totally different thing, right? Like I always liked going through the woods. We would take it when we would go hunting and stuff. And I liked going through the woods and just seeing how deep in the woods I could go over just ridiculous shit. Right. Which is different than like the ones you race around tracks and like slide the ass end out and do 80 around a track. Yeah. They're fun in their own way. Right. You're less likely to get hurt on the ones that I ride because you're not usually trucking through the woods going that fast. But dude, that thing would go up a fucking tree, man. It was fun.
Yeah, I miss that, and I want my kids to have that. So it may not happen this year, but definitely going to have four-wheelers. That's one of the reasons I want land more than anything. I want acreage.
Well, me and you have talked about that before, and that's something that I eventually want to get around to is getting some land so I can get a side by side, get some four-wheelers. get out there with the kids and do dumb shit before they get too old and don't want to hang out with me anymore.
Do they want to hang out with you now?
I mean, for the most part,
because Eleanor doesn't want to hang out with me right now. So,
well, Charlotte, that's because she's a girl. The boy,
she's two.
Well, the boys will. Charlotte's always favored her mom. I mean, she loves her dad, but you know, we always thought it was going to be like, you know, mama's boy, daddy's girl. With our kids, it's the very opposite. Like, don't get me wrong, they love us both, but like Charlotte leans toward Allison because they like do their hair and all the shit, and then Jarrett leans toward me and he wants to like play video games and talk about Marvel movies and go ride the one wheels and fish and, you know, do all that kind of shit. Been taking him.
You know what you need to do that shit?
What's that?
You need a goddamn truck.
You need a truck for all that shit. I guarantee you. That's why. I need a new truck, and I'm going to give my truck to my oldest son, who's about to turn 16, and then I'm going to buy myself a new truck.
That's what I'm going to ask. I know you said leaning Chevy, but what are you going to get?
I'm leaning.
Sure, you're going to go Chevy?
I'm leaning Chevy, but I'm going to go look, and I'm, you know, just from what I've looked at online, bang for the buck, I can get a lot of what I want in a Chevy, right? You can get it. I like the Z71 packages. That's what I have now, and it's great. It's got 4-wheel drive for when you need it. I don't use 4-wheel drive a ton, but sometimes I go to the beach. There's different things. 4-wheel drive is one of those things that if you don't think you need it, just fucking get it, because when you
don't get a truck without 4-wheel drive. Right.
You'll be glad.
It defeats the whole fucking purpose.
Right. You'll be glad you have it. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just leaning Chevy. But I'm not against looking at the GMCs. I'm even going to go look at the Fords. I'm not any offense to any of the Toyota guys. I'm not a big Toyota guy. I respect the trucks. I know they're very dependable and they're great. I'm just not.
Dude, I would love nothing more than a Tundra, like a TRD Pro Tundra. I would love a TRD Pro Tundra.
They're super nice trucks.
If they would bring them up into the 21st century and fix the god awful fuel economy. Like, you get the same fuel economy in a Tundra as you do a Raptor.
Oh, wow.
It's that bad. It's really bad in the Tundra. And that's one of the reasons I went with what I got, is because they have a 1500 diesel, like,
right,
3-liter Duramax little baby diesel. That's all I need. And it's been phenomenal. And you can, I think, technically get a Raptor with a diesel, but then you're paying, I think, like a $6,000 premium on top of the Raptor.
Dude, I love a Raptor. If money was no option, I would get a Raptor. I just think those trucks look fucking awesome. I love the Raptors.
I love the aesthetics of them. I love the way they look.
They're my favorite. Pete's, every time I see Pete post a picture or something, I'm like, God damn, that's such a good looking truck, man. It's just so good.
And everybody's like, look at the Rebels, look at the Rebels, look at the Rebels. I did. I went and looked at several Rebels. And to be fair, Ram has one of the best things in a truck, period. I'm so jealous every single time I see it, but I don't want to own a Ram. I just don't like the way they look. I don't like the interior. I think it looks it's a little shiny for me.
Well, you know,
and I don't like big, huge touch screens. I just want a few buttons, and I don't need like a super fancy infotainment system. CarPlay, Apple CarPlay is all I need.
Maybe they've changed this. Are the back seats still kind of small in comparison to some of the others?
I don't remember, but I know that was the main reason I was looking for a bigger truck. Alex is like, your Tacoma's not big enough. We need a bigger truck. And I said, if I'm getting a truck, I'm getting a fucking truck.
But my Chevy that I have now, the reason I actually went and I drove a Ram and I really liked it, and it was a nice truck, but the back seat of the crew cab was not near as roomy as in the Fords and in the Chevys. It was much smaller. The crew cab was not as deep. It just wasn't as roomy. And the seats weren't as big and lush. My back seats are like almost the same as the front seats. They're like, and in the Ram, it almost was like kind of seats. You know what I mean? When I'm talking about seats, they're like thin. They're not real.
In the AT4, I mean, you've got between the front of the back seat and the back of the front seat, you've got like 1.5 feet of space or more. Like, there's a ton of room back there. Now, and I think most of them are about the same now, but some of them have super cabs.
I was about to say, I don't remember the Ram that had it. My buddy had one years ago, and I don't even know if they still make them, and I forgot what they were called. but the back seat, and this was an atypical Ram, right? This wasn't like the normal Rams I looked at, the crew cab Rams. You could actually lean the back seats back. That's how big the back cab was. And it had a long bed. So like he couldn't park this fucking thing anywhere because it was like a 4-door truck that the crew cab part was big enough you could recline the back seats, which was huge. And then it had the long bed on it. So, I mean, it was like driving an 18-wheeler.
Yeah. Hell no. Somebody in my Discord server was talking about that. We were talking about trucks one day, and they were talking about wanting the long bed with like a super cab or mega cab or whatever they call it. Dude, the fucking truck's like 28 feet long.
He ended up getting rid of it because he couldn't park it in parking lots. Like
I can't park my truck in places, and it's just a 1500.
You would have to park it in. Yeah, a bunch of people were saying mega cab. That's what it was called, I think. It was fucking. I mean, it was a cool ass truck, and it looked dope because he had it up on big tires, so it looked like some kind
Jeremy,
of.
I know what you need. I know exactly what you need.
What I would like is a Ford F. What is it, like a 550? What's that thing that almost looks like a like a dump
Jeremy.
truck on the front? The Ford that's like a dump truck on the front, and it has like a truck bed, but it's got like the stacks. What the hell is that thing?
No, Jeremy, I got you. You're talking about an F550, I think.
I think it might be a 550. 650 might be the XF50. Somebody said it's 650.
I've got something new for you.
Dude, that thing is so fucking diesel looking, bro. It is dope. It looks like a 18-wheeler on the front with stacks, but then it's got a truck bed, and it sits up stock out of the factory like you could run over another car. It's huge.
Here, I got you. I got you, Jeremy. Share screen Chrome tab. It's right here.
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
Dude, a 6-door truck.
Dude, I don't know about that amount of doors, but that's what I'm talking about. Like
I saw one of these rolling around in downtown Raleigh one day, and I'm in an AT4, which isn't a huge truck, but I've got a 2-inch lift, and I'm looking out of my driver's window, and I'm looking at the bottom of the door on this truck.
Right. And that's what I'm saying now. Now that's ridiculous because it's got 6 doors, but okay. But imagine taking one of those pairs of doors off. So you just got a normal crew cab with the stack on it and stuff, dude. How pimp is that truck? Come on, dude. That thing is awesome.
It's a little ridiculous, but
it's ridiculous, but it's like the fucking apocalypse mobile, right? That's like just running over zombies, acting crazy.
Have you seen Post Malone's Raptor?
Yes, it's definitely overcompensation. Somebody said it, but sometimes that's okay.
Have you seen Post Malone's Raptor?
Dude, Post Malone is one of the coolest motherfuckers ever. Okay, because he's like all into the hip hop, R&B, rap, and all that, but he's also like redneck as fuck. He carries a firearm. He is big into like guns. He moved out to like Texas to get away from all the BS. He plays the guitar. He plays the guitar. What is that, dude?
That is a Velociraptor 6x6 by Hennessy.
That's Post Malone's.
That one specifically is not Post Malone's, but that's what he has. I think they're 350,000.
Oh, dude. Dude.
Yeah, so the old Velociraptor was just a kit that you could get on your Raptor. I think it was like $16,000, and you could take your already kind of ridiculous truck and make it way more ridiculous. The new Velociraptor is a total custom build. So Hennessy buys the Raptor, or maybe you have to buy it, but regardless.
Hennessy, like a liquor company?
No. This is motorsports.
Oh, okay. I was like, why the hell would Hennessy want to fucking do custom trucks?
So everything from the cab back is a total custom fab. Like I think they use the tailgate, but I mean, it is a totally custom truck. So $350,000 worth.
See, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, so dumb" and whatever. And I get it. I get why people would say it's dumb, but I don't know, man. There's just something kind of cool about it, right? It's
it's not practical. There's no practicality to it at all.
But I mean, when you're Post Malone and you put in all gold grill, you know what I mean? Are you really worried about being practical? I mean, that dude's got a Richard. How do you? Some people say Richard
Mill.
Some people say Richard. Some people say Richard.
Richard Mill, whatever.
He's got $1 million watch. So, I mean, he's all about the ridiculous shit. You know what I'm saying?
But going back to what started this whole thing, the Ram trucks, like, I'm not a huge fan of the massive screen. I just need some Apple CarPlay. I don't need a 12-inch screen to do whatever with. Like, I don't want functions of my Air on like not having physical buttons and stuff. I don't know if that's how it is. I don't know. I didn't spend too much time in the Ram because it just wasn't for me. But I would make do for that for a TRX. But what really, really, really makes me jealous about the Rams is the Ram boxes. Those are their storage containers in the bed rails. So typically that's just lost space.
Yep.
It's just brilliant engineering.
Yep.
It's a simple concept, and every single truck ever should have it. You should have locking storage in the bed of the truck.
Yep.
Like the Tacoma had like a few little cubbies that you could store stuff in, but they weren't locking. My truck has zero storage in the bed. It's like the bed rails. Typically with a truck, you have like 6 or 7 inches of space that's just kind of there. In my truck, the carbon fiber follows the shape of the bed or like the body panels. So it's very tight. It's not exact, but it's very tight to the actual outside body of the truck. So you get extra cargo space, but there's zero storage. And I don't like toolboxes. I don't want a toolbox.
That is the only problem with trucks is you do lose a little bit of storage in trucks, right? Because there's not like a trunk that you can lock stuff in.
You can get like, rolling drawers and stuff like that or build them, which is fine because you're not really losing a ton of cargo space. You're losing some vertical space, but that's okay sometimes. And you can take them out too, so you can still have that.
Shallow too. Who was it that had a truck that had like these rollout drawers that had just like fucking rifles all in them? They pulled them out and it was just rifles.
It was Demolition Ranch.
Was that who it was? Was it Matt Demolition Ranch? Dude,
well, I saw it on a Demo Ranch video. I can't remember exactly. Maybe it was Black Rifle Coffee Company. I can't remember, but it was like behind the bumper, right? So there was like a latch and the bumper comes out and it's a drawer with guns.
No,
we're talking about something different.
No, we're talking about something. This was in the bed of the truck. It was like they had made a platform in the bed of the truck that raised the bed up like probably, I don't know, 8 inches, 6-8 inches. And then it was diamond plate and it locked and you could pull them out and it was like drawers in the bed of the truck. So you would drop your tailgate and then those would slide out.
Let me see if I can find the ones I'm talking about because they're definitely different.
I think it was Demo Ranch though. I think you're right. Oh, by the way, I don't know if we said this while you're looking for that. Cigar I'm smoking tonight is the JC Newman, the new Parallette Del Mar. I was not a huge fan of the old Parallette Del Mar that they had. It was kind of this is a box press, but it was like a very square box press. It was okay. I mean, I didn't dislike the cigar, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. But they recently like redid this particular cigar. I think they reblended it. They did a bunch of different stuff. And this one is really, really good. I like it a lot. Oh yeah. No, that's not what I'm talking about. That's dope as shit though. But that's like the,
that's like a true custom build.
Yeah, that's like the bumper slides out. No, that's not what I was talking about, but that's cool as shit.
Can I just say, speaking about like on the topic of cigars really quickly, the LCA dropped this month. Like what was it?
Cinnabon was last month.
Yeah. Buenaventura, I think, or something like that.
I gotta get with Brian, man. We haven't been able to line up for me to get the LCAs for the last couple of months to do a video because I've been busy and he's been busy. We just haven't synced up.
This month's drop, I didn't care for the Sigabunda too much. I had 2 of them and they were okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I think it was Buenaventura. I think that's what it was. Dude.
So good.
I only got 2 of them, but they are so good. Brian, please send me some.
Dude, I will say, dude, Brian has a hell of a palate. Like he can pick them, bro. Not every single cigar that he puts out might not be your favorite, but you'll rarely ever run into a cigar that you don't like with him. I mean, occasionally, everybody's palate's different, but I mean, he's got a pretty high hit rate for me, man. Most of the shit that he picks out, I really, really like.
I've had so far now, I think like 7 or 8 cigars from Privada, including like the farm rolled stuff. Maybe a few more than that. And there's only been one that I wasn't a massive fan of, and that was the Sigabund.
He's got a hell of a palate, man. He knows how to pick them. He really does. Even Dan said that. Dan.
Oh, Get the fuck out of here, AB. Get out of here. Look, wait. Put user in timeout. That
I didn't even see. I didn't even see. I didn't know Alex was in here tonight. I haven't been really keeping an eye on the chat as much.
I just saw it pop up. Alec, stick around. That's just a little bit of retribution. I will not mute you again. For those of you who don't know, I was watching a live stream that Jeremy did with the Bourbon Junkies, and they made Alec a mod, and he just kept banning me and timing me out and stuff, and I kept popping up with my other accounts.
Alex sent me some. I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
A good one. Justice for Alec.
I don't know if I'm legally allowed to say what he sends. I don't know if there's some kind of legal. Anyway, we'll just say I got some of the burritos, I think is how you say it. And we're going to do some cool stuff with those. I think I'm going to send you some, and we're going to do a podcast with it. I'm going to do a video, and I think we're going to do a podcast if you're game. The burritos, I know I fuck up Spanish pronunciations, but basically it's
just Spanish.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I fuck up English, so another language. I'm on the struggle bus, okay? But I think we talked about this before, but a cigar will have multiple blends of tobacco, right? There'll be 6, 7 different leaves in there sometimes, I suppose. I don't know how many are in a general, but anyway, there's more than one. And the way the blenders get an idea of what tobaccos taste like is they have these little, the people that grow the tobacco, they roll these little bitty cigars that are complete. The wrapper, the binder, everything in it, the whole cigar is made of one tobacco leaf, one type of tobacco, whether it's anyway. And then they taste those, and they know what that individual leaf tastes like, and it helps them blend the cigars. So I think I'm going to send you some. He sent me a whole bunch. I'll show you what they look like.
So when can I expect these?
Not too far, but they're I've got a bunch of these, but see, they're like little bitty, and this is Esteli Seca, right? So this is Esteli tobacco and Seca, which is a certain part of the plant, or Seca. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's Seca.
So can I expect this before or after my son's 16th birthday?
Go fuck yourself, Taylor.
Alec, I'm not going to mute you anymore. It was just a one-time deal, unless you get out of hand.
Look in the fucking chat. 2022, 2023. Everybody's assholes.
Everybody's honest is what it is.
Anyway, the point was I'm going to do a video breaking down the different tobaccos and what you get in because sometimes it's hard in a blend when you've got 3 or 4 or 5 different tobaccos. It's hard to go, okay, this particular flavor that I'm getting is this type of tobacco. This particular flavor is this type of tobacco, and kind of getting your head around what tobaccos taste like what, right? So this would be a cool way to get a cigar that has these tobaccos in it, have the cigar, and then have the individual burritos, and then taste them, so you can kind of get a deal for, this is what this tobacco is adding to the cigar, and this is what this tobacco, and kind of help you develop your cigar palate and knowledge.
All tobacco tastes the same.
It first, it does not.
I'm trying to tilt Alec.
Is Alec back in here yet?
Yeah, he switched accounts.
Oh, he said this is good. I love Alec. He's a good guy, man. He's a good guy. But yeah, I was going to do a video like that on the channel, and then we were talking maybe do something like that on the podcast, maybe even have Alec on that podcast, because we were talking about getting some guests on here pretty soon, having him on there and going over the individual blends and what they have in them and all that stuff. I think it'd be fun. Be a fun informational podcast for the people, the people.
For the inundated or uninitiated, I think that's the word.
Or as Rex says from the Whiskey Tribe, the people. You ever watch the Whiskey Tribe?
No.
Oh God, man, you got to watch that channel. They're really good.
I have gone through, and I know we've talked about this a little bit, even back since the last time we podcasted. I've been struggling to enjoy things. I know that sounds very bleak, but what I mean by that is shows and visual, YouTube stuff. Lately, I've enjoyed researching, reading while sitting on my back porch, and you can hear the train. Welcome to the new location, guys. Can you hear it?
Hey, no no location is perfect. Okay. Let's just be, there's always, but this location is about as perfect as it's going to get though.
Oh, dude, I love this spot. So
It
you guys are just going to have to deal with the trains because they're about 80 feet that way. Maybe a little more than that, but like, yeah, they're loud.
It looks nice. You got a little fire on your monitor going in the background there.
The old Apple TV.
The internet is way better. I'm not saying we'll never have internet issues because, you know, internet happens, but in general, it's way better.
No taint fan.
No taint fan. You're not, as soon as you can get some ventilation in there, you can start having some cigars so we can, you know, do something. I'm excited about the new spot. You know, I've found that when I get to where I'm not enjoying anything, man, that's when I get a new hobby. That's when it's time to refresh something, right? Which is
so I've been struggling to watch
right?
things on YouTube and Netflix or anything. Like I started Ozark and I was enjoying the shit out of it. And then like halfway through, I'm like, I can't even turn this on and pay attention. Like, I don't know what it is. My headspace is all fucked. I was feeling really out of my element because I'm used to working around the clock. Like that's just my normal state. I work all the time. If I'm not working, I'm thinking about work. And I was mostly out of work for 3 months. I mean, I worked, I think, a collective maybe 2 weeks since Thanksgiving until last week. So you do the math on that. Yeah. That's not very much.
There's a lot of shit going on though, bro.
And I just felt so out of my element, and I'm starting to feel normal again.
Because like you're back in and doing stuff, and
yeah. But yeah, like I've been struggling to enjoy content. Like I'll watch like 1 or 2 videos of somebody that I usually typically enjoy, and I'm like, okay, I want to do something different. So what I've been doing is reading, researching, sitting out on my back porch, having some whiskey and a cigar. And then I somehow stumbled onto this old tangent of mine, just reignited a flame into this overlanding thing, which is why I ended up buying the Land Rover.
Well, let me ask you this though, and this is a little off of the Land Rover thing, and I know we've hit trucks pretty solid, so I don't feel too bad about veering off into different directions.
You never do.
I never do.
Don't fool yourself and don't try to fool us.
Part of the charm of the podcast. It's fucking all over the place. Are you glad you got into cigars? Are you enjoying the hobby? Now,
so
some people, by the way, say that cigars aren't a hobby, and for those people, I say you're not doing it right. If you don't think it's a hobby,
I went from 0 to 100 with cigars.
You did,
right? I think we went from on one podcast. I was like, I've had like 2 cigars ever, and then like fast forward 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay, I'm smoking a cigar a day. I wasn't planning on that, and then there we were. And then I did that for a few weeks, for a while or whatever. And then I've significantly cut back. And a lot of that is time. I just don't have the time to sit out and smoke because I have a newborn. And I've just been sleeping like 4 hours a night. So I
mean, the most handy though, man, is when you have a lot of stress in your life, cutting out 1 hour of your day for yourself to go sit down on the back porch with a whiskey and a cigar and a book or a podcast or a book on whatever you want to do, and just take 1 hour to yourself to fucking bring it in. Just fucking bring it in. You know what I mean? And that's what cigars do for me, man. Like, well, cigars do more than that for me because I smoke a lot of cigars, but like every night I look forward to, no matter how hectic my day is, when I shut it down at the end of the night, coming up here, having a nice pour of whiskey and a cigar. It's like
Alec is pushing his luck. I think he's trying to get muted again.
All he said is cigars are definitely a hobby and a lifestyle.
No. You got to scroll up a little bit. He's talking some shit. All knives do the same thing and field watches blow. He said, or truly knowing Taylor. He's poking the bear a little bit here. But no, I went from 0 to 100 with cigars. Like there were some days in those first couple of weeks I was smoking like 2 a day, and I'm like,
well, that's you though, right? You were
always throw myself into stuff. Yeah,
it's good. I mean, that's how I am. I feel like that's kind of the best way to just get in there and get nitty gritty sometimes. So,
but then I would say now I've scaled it back to like 15, and that's probably where I'll stay. Not even just for the kid, just like 1 or 2 a week or so. Like that's probably where I am.
I would, and I mean, I'm sure the chat will chime in. I would argue that that's probably most cigar smokers are in that category, right? Several a week, right? 2, 3 a week is probably the average for that's probably the biggest majority of cigar smokers. But you definitely got a lot of guys like Alec, myself, that smoke every day, multiple times a day, right? I'm a minimum, and I've said this many, many times, but minimum of 2 a day. 1 in the morning with my coffee, 1 in the night with my whiskey, minimum. Sometimes a third one in the middle of the day. On the weekends, back before Corona, and we would be having barbecues and friends over, and I'm out smoking a pork butt, and I've got buddies over, and we're on the back porch smoking cigars and drinking whiskey and all that shit. I mean, I could go through 5 in a day without stretching it, you know?
Can I just say that I think 2 weeks ago was really my first week trying to get back to work, and I came in at like 6 or 7 in the morning. I'm sitting here, so my office now I have windows, so I can see out into the world. I can see people,
Right? Not in your cave.
And I like poke my head out the door, and it's like 6:37 in the morning, and there's a girl. She couldn't be more than like 20, 25, some like young-ish girl walking down the sidewalk, 6:30 in the morning, smoking a cigar. And I'm just like,
that's awesome.
That's boss as fuck. Like,
and I joked around about this in the video I did a week ago, where I did the screwball stuff. And we were joking around about my wife used to smoke cigars with me when we first got together. Well, I should say we got back. That's a whole nother story in and of itself. But when we first got together, and she was still trying to impress me, you know, when you're in the impress stage and the girl's doing all the best things to try to impress you, you're doing everybody's on their best behavior, right? She would go to cigar bars with me.
One of you farts really loud in front of the other, and it all goes to shit.
You know, I still don't fart in front of my wife. I don't. I don't think she's ever heard me fart.
Somebody said that wasn't a cigar, Taylor. Probably true. Just saying.
But we'd go to cigar bars. She always liked Macanudos. That was her cigar. She liked a little, forgot the exact size, but it was like a smaller Macanudo cigar because Macanudos are pretty mild. That's actually
like those Texas Lanceros, doesn't she?
Oh God, no. Before we were married, yeah. When you get married, no Texas Lanceros. We talked about that in that video too. I actually had to beep it out because it's on the main channel, but she's like, yeah, she goes, I know, Jeremy, we do a lot of things we're trying. I said, yeah, like blowjobs. That I made the joke of why do all women have such a big smile on their face on their wedding day? Because they know that's the last blowjob they're ever going to give. But yeah, she used to smoke Macanudos. Now she didn't drink whiskey. She never has been a fan of whiskey, but she would get a glass of wine or a cocktail of some nature and go to a cigar bar, and we'd listen to a band and have cigars and stuff. She has zero interest in cigars these days. Zero.
See, Alex and I smoked 1 or 2 cigars together, I think. And the funny like reaction I got was when I started, before all this went down and before I had a second kid, I was going to a cigar lounge every single Friday night for maybe 2 months or so. And it was my favorite thing. Like I loved cutting out early on a Friday night and going to the cigar lounge. And
that's a cool cigar lounge. We've talked about that before, but that's a cool place.
Yeah.
They got a putting green and shit in the cigar lounge.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
And the first day I went, I came home afterwards, and I knew I could smell cigar smoke on me after I left. Like I knew she was going to say something. I walked in, and I was expecting her to be like, God, you smell like smoke. I walked in, she's like, you smell good. And I'm like,
you're like,
okay, all right.
Some women do like the unadulterated scent of man. It's true. It's true.
AB asked, which cigar lounge do I go to? It's called the Cigar Loft. That's the name of it, but it's in Concord where I live.
It's a cool little place, man. I shouldn't say little. Yeah. It's actually a pretty damn big place. My favorite place to go to is back before Corona and back when my wife still liked to smoke cigars was a place called Island Girl, which I know is kind of a weird name for a cigar bar. Island Girl. I don't know why it's called that, but probably one of the bigger humidors in my area, and just a ton of big leather cushy chairs and sofas and stuff. And on Friday nights they had live bands, but it wasn't like loud bands. It was usually like, you know, acoustic shit and stuff. So it was just, you could still have a nice conversation and have a cigar, and they have a full bar and stuff. And they have some pretty good scotches and whiskeys and stuff. Cause sometimes you go in those places and like, the best you can get is like Woodford and Jack Daniels, which nothing against Woodford. I love Woodford, but you know, they actually have some Eagle Rares and some, they've got Lagavulin. They've got a pretty good little selection of, you know, scotches and bourbons. So I used to enjoy going there.
I finally made my way out. I don't know if this was before or after our break, but I finally made my way out to that JR Cigar Lounge in Mooresville.
Ridiculous.
Dude, that place is so bomb. And that is what ruins cigars for me. No, it really is. It really is. That's where I tried the Liga number 9. And I know you guys say the T52 is better, but the Liga number 9 is still personally is my favorite cigar I've had.
I think
so much so that I bought a box. Like I've not considered buying any other boxes of cigars until I had that one.
I want to say it's their most popular cigar, the number 9. Like sales wise, I want to say that it's one of their most popular ones, Drew Estate. Although a lot of people will lean T52. Get you a T52 next time, man.
Yeah, I will.
I think you would like it. I still got to get, I'm trying to think of what you really need to have a magic toast with coffee.
I'd like to, you need to write down a list for me. And Alec, right here, he says he's going to be doing an event at Tinderbox in Charlotte in 2 weeks. Get up with me. Depending on when it is, I may be in Georgia, but just hit me up.
Yeah.
If I'm in town, I'll do it.
You should. Alec's a cool guy, man. He really is. I think you guys would have fun hanging out.
You can't mute me in person, bitch.
But Magic Toast is an Alec Bradley cigar, not to suck his dick because he's in here, but people have heard me say this when he's not been in the chat. It's one of my favorite coffee cigars, Alec Bradley Magic Toast. It's a solid cigar. I think that cigar, I don't know that they meant to do it, but I think it was meant to be with coffee, man. It's just, I don't even want that with whiskey. I just want it with coffee.
So I recently just tried cigar with coffee for the first time, but it was like 11 p.m.
Oh, well, you're going to be awake for like the rest of the night.
I was trying my best to power through an edit, and that's what I did. I was up till like 2:33. Yeah. But I had to stay awake. So I was like, how good whiskey right now? There's no way I can drink a whiskey right now. So
how good is it though?
It was really good.
Dude, I have a hard time deciding which one I like better, whiskey and cigars or coffee and cigars. Because coffee and cigars is. Oh, Alex said thoughts on the Kintsugi, dude. You know my thoughts on the Kintsugi, brother. Dude, I rated that cigar. I think a 90. I have my sheet over there. I can't get to it now, but I think I rated that thing the first time I smoked it like a 94. Or no, I think I rated it higher than that. I think I rated it like a 97. And then I went back and like took some points away. I'm like, I got to take some points off somewhere because I just feel bad giving it this high of a score, but I couldn't find anything wrong with it. And again, this isn't kissing his ass because he's in the thing. I did this just, independently of him. I was rating it when I got it. And I was like, I got to find a way to take some points off the cigar because a cigar, you can't rate a cigar 100. Like you just can't, right? You never hear of a cigar getting 100, right? So, I just couldn't find anything wrong with it, man. It was a delicious cigar. It was well balanced, had tons of flavor, not too strong, enough sweet, balanced out with a little bit of the more like, earthy stuff to balance the sweetness. It burned perfect, had a perfect draw. I couldn't find anything wrong with the cigar. It was delicious.
Why don't we let the cigar noob be the judge of that? The guy who can't apparently smoke a cigar.
I really like the Kintsugi because it is a lot of flavor, but it's not a real strong, it's not going to leave you with that nasty, strong cigar taste in your mouth for a long period of time because the flavors are very full, but they're not overpowering, if that makes any sense.
But you also don't know what cigar mouth is. So
I don't, but I can understand it, right? Like I know if I'm smoking a Nicaraguan Puro that some of my father cigars or some AJ Fernandez cigars, you can tell when you're getting all those super pungent flavors and your lips are tingling because of all the, you're like, yeah, this is probably, there's some residue in there that if I didn't smoke 3 cigars a day, I probably would taste this for the next 3. But no, the Kintsugi is a very clean cigar, if that makes any sense. They're very full but clean flavors. It's a good cigar, man. It really is. And I'm like I said, I'm not just saying that because Alex in here.
I genuinely wish I could hear. The owner told me to just crack the door open and go at it, but there's a really busy road out here. Yeah, we'd just be hearing cars go by the whole time.
But see, somebody else said it's one of the best cigars going right now. It's a great cigar. It really is. And I hate to keep saying that because he's in chat and people are going to be like, "Oh, you're saying that because fucking Alex in here." But it's great. Hey, I'll talk shit. I told Alec when me and him first met that I thought black markets were trash. I mean, I did.
Hey, I've had 2 Tempest cigars now, and neither one of them would stay lit.
But you
and
can't.
The first one, I'm pretty sure was my fault, or at least the environment's fault.
Yeah.
Thick fog rolled in. The second one, I know for a fact wasn't my fault.
Yep.
So, because what I did was I know those cigars have been sitting at the cigar lounge for a while. I bought it. I brought it straight home and smoked it like within an hour of me buying it. And I just couldn't keep it lit. And it wasn't like anything I was doing. I will give it a third try, though. I will give the Tempest a third try because the flavors tasted good. I just couldn't keep it lit.
I will say, because I just talked shit about the black market, that I have changed my opinion on the black market these days. I told Alec when we met.
Probably Taylor's fault.
I told Alec when we met that I didn't like the black market. I was like, dude, I hate to say this, buddy. I know this is insulting. I'm like, but that's not my jam. And in Alec's defense, he was cool about it. He's like, man, I get it. He goes, not every cigar is for everybody. We're going to roll shit that not everybody likes. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But then I got some, and then I had to eat my words. And I told him, I'm like, man, it's been years since I've tried one. And I don't know if I had a bad one the one time I had it and I didn't like it. But I smoked it again and I liked it. So I had to eat my words. And I'm like, Alec, I take it back, man. Those black markets are actually pretty decent. My bad. Probably Taylor's fault.
Everything is my fault.
Somebody asked me what I paired with the Kintsugi. I don't remember what I paired with it, or if I even
probably a Truly.
Yeah, it probably was. Probably like a Truly or maybe a mimosa or like I enjoy a good Truly. I think a mimosa, first off, fuck mimosas because I hate champagne. Secondly, I don't think anything citrusy would be good with a cigar. I don't think like orange juice or anything like that, like the acidicness of I don't think that would be good with a cigar.
So I will counter you on that because one of the Cookie Monsters that I had, I smoked that while drinking a hazy IPA, which in general are very citrusy. One of the best combinations I've had with a cigar. Well, I don't know what it was about it, but it was just super good.
Well, I feel like a little bit of citrus in an IPA is different than drinking like orange juice, right?
Well,
like,
sure.
And that's what I mean, because there's orange juice in a mimosa, right? Isn't that what a mimosa is orange juice and champagne? Isn't that a mimosa?
I don't know.
I think it's orange juice and
just drink screwballs all day.
You know,
and smoke cigars.
The screwball, I will say, not my cup of tea, a little too sweet. It was good in coffee. I could see it being used as a mixer, but man, that shit is super syrupy sweet. It is hard to drink neat. It is a lot. Now, my wife really liked it, right? And if you're into that kind of thing, you probably will. But man, that shit, some people were saying, and this is like the most ghetto thing ever, but kind of awesome at the same time. They were like, I mix it with grape soda and it tastes like a peanut butter jelly. And I'm like, that's I mean,
screwball I was talking about, in that vodka and orange juice.
Oh, okay. I was talking about the screwball whiskey. I thought you were talking about the screwball whiskey.
No.
Yeah, screwball.
I don't watch your channel.
Screwball is, I think is that a screwball?
I think so.
Juice and
Screwdriver.
Screwdriver. That's what it is.
There we go.
I tell you what's good is a salty dog. You ever had a salty dog? It's grapefruit juice and vodka, and then you put salt on the rim of the glass.
I don't like vodka though.
I don't like vodka really either, but like, it really just tastes like grapefruit juice.
That's why, like, if I'm at a restaurant, I will order a Kentucky mule instead of a Moscow mule.
Right. Is it wrong for me to say that I feel like vodka is like an alcoholic's beverage of choice because it's just vodka is more about getting drunk than it is about the flavor? Because isn't the whole point of vodka to not have flavor?
Yeah, I think that is an accurate assessment, but I don't know that it's necessarily right or wrong. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying though? Because like when you rate a really good vodka, isn't like the sign of a really, really good vodka like being basically no flavor?
I think so.
So if that's the point, then, it's like.
Okay, so to be fair, I've only had a few vodkas ever, and I think they were all very cheap and not very good in terms of quality. Burnett's, obviously, that's what I usually have around. I don't stock it myself, but when I go to family stuff, there's usually some Burnett's. I had a bottle of Aristocrat in my freezer for like 9 years until I finally was like, why is this here? I don't drink it. So
You're talking vodka or gin?
vodka.
Okay, vodka. Sorry. I saw a bunch of people talking about gin, so I thought you were talking about gin.
Gin has kind of a
Very
like pine taste,
very,
right?
yeah, very botanical. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only gin that I really like, and I will occasionally in the summer drink a gin and tonic with a wedge of lime or something in it, because it's a very kind of crisp, refreshing beverage in the summer when it's hot. What is that brand of gin that I like? It's in a round with a white label. Oh fuck! Somebody recommended it to me, and I keep a bottle of it in my Hendrix. That's that. Somebody just popped up. It's Hendrix. It's actually pretty good. I'm not a huge gin guy, but like I said, occasionally in the summer, hot day, little Hendrix, little seltzer or soda water, whatever the hell it is, and tonic, vodka or gin and tonic, and little fresh squeeze of lime or lemon. It's pretty nice, man. It's refreshing.
I think the only time I've ever had gin was when I was probably 22 in New York. I've not really ever had it much.
Supposedly, a lot of whiskey people are also gin people, because gin also is one of those things that are blended and there's lots of flavors and all the things, and people like to.
It apparently is on the rise.
Gin, yeah. I'm just not a huge gin guy. I mean, like I said, it's okay. I'm just not like. I'm a whiskey guy, man.
Are you? Because
I normally like to drink coffee. Coffee. I like coffee also.
There, I stopped it early for you.
I'm
sure people are. I need to get more sound bites.
I'm trying to give you any more. It's really hard though, because sometimes when we talk about certain things, you
got one.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I said that, I'm like, God damn it. Oh, and we had talked about how to say Balvenie the other day, and I was on a call with the guys at Scotch Malt, and I think it's Balvenie, is because I was asking them, I'm like, a lot of guys over there, right? Like they're in close contact because they get these single barrel. That's what Scotch Malt does. And I'm like, how do you say? I say Balvenie, and they're like, well, you say it however you want. We're not snobs over here, whatever. He's like, but that's not how they say it over there. Let's just say that they say a Balvenie. He said he's actually heard a couple different people over there say it a couple different ways. He said Scottish people tend to put the emphasis on the first syllable of a word, and Irish on the second, I think is how he described it, or I might have it vice versa. But it's like the difference between Balvenie or what's the other way? Fuck, I can't remember. But point is, I was saying it wrong, saying Balvenie.
There's also Dalwhinnie.
Dude, this is going to be my next pour here in a minute. Have we talked about this particular bottle right here?
We have not. No, we haven't.
Dude, are you into like the sweeter, like Highland Speyside and stuff like that? Or are you like sherry stuff, or do you like mostly smoky only?
I'm an Isla person through and through. I've had a few that aren't very peaty that are okay.
Because these are,
but I've not had a ton outside of Isla's, because what my journey with Scotch was Lagavulin and then bouncing around with some really peat bombs, and then got back into bourbon.
This stuff is finished in Pedro Mendez, I think is how you say that, and Oloroso sherry casks, and man, it is one of my favorites that I've gotten lately. I really enjoyed it. It's a good starter whiskey for the night too, because it's 46%, so it's not going to like bomb your palate too bad. But it's just a good, easy sipper, man. It's really,
glad you mentioned bombing my palate.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Alec is a big fan of the Glendronach also. Oh, and Alec, by the way, I tried those the Glenfiddich that you sent me, and they are tasty. Oh, and yes, you're right, Alec. You had told me that. And then after he told me, Glendronach is also owned by Brown Forman, who owns Woodford and Old Forester. So once again, reason why Brown Forman owns shit. Those motherfuckers are on it, son. They're on it. All the good shit comes out of Brown Forman.
Taking a little page out of Jeremy Sire's book here.
Yeah, dude, you just do a little rinse. Only time you can't do that is when you're drinking Isla's. You got to have some soap to break up the oil in those motherfuckers. It's
Glad you mentioned it because
the old wee beastie, baby, coming out. The wee beastie.
that was a sad cork.
Dude, did I tell you that the fucking people at Scotch Malt sent me like a 40-year single malt?
Yeah, 38 years.
30, yeah, dude, a 38-year single malt. 38.
So I'm trying to swoop into those DMs, if you know what I mean.
38 years.
Because if I'm honest, and if I'm being fair, I kind of shoved you down the Isla train, or onto it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I should get some of that 38-year love,
That's not an Isla, though.
I know. I'm just saying.
They did send me an Isla.
They sent you a very nice Isla last time, not this time.
Yeah, well, they sent me 2 Islas this time. They sent me 4 bottles total because I'm about to do a project with them and we're going to do a video. And they sent me 2 Islas.
Please don't talk to me right now.
Just take a second for the O face. You go ahead. I'll talk to the people. You just enjoy that. Have a smoke. Eat a ham sandwich. Whatever you need to do to.
Somebody's asking if I'm tipsy already. No, I'm not tipsy. I'm just.
What was the one? No, Gabe, old does not necessarily mean better. You're absolutely right. But anytime you can get a really old bottle like that, it's a special bottle nevertheless. Because, that shit's been sitting in a barrel for like fucking 40 years, which is pretty cool. And I will say I tasted it.
Almost as many years as Jeremy's been walking this earth, but not quite.
Almost. And I will say I tasted it, and it's a pretty special bottle, man. Old does not mean good, but a lot of times it does. Okay. Now, with bourbon, you had a 38-year-old bourbon, it would taste like shit because they just do not age that long. You can't age bourbon that long, man.
Where did it go? It's right here. By the time that Brad Smith says, by the time Jeremy sends a sample to Taylor, it will be a 40-year-old Scotch.
Here's the thing. It doesn't count after it's out of the barrel, Brad. You know that. I know you're just being a smart ass, Brad, though. I know.
Oh,
but yeah, he's not wrong. I can't totally dispute that.
Jeremy, I know you're going to disagree with me, but this is the 7th or 8th time I've had Wee Beastie.
And you say it's not your favorite.
I like the 10-year more.
Oh, God. I thought you were going to say you like Ugadal better.
I've still not had Ugadal.
You saying you like the 10-year better is just borderline. That's just insulting.
I've not had the Ugadal or the Koriveckan, but both of them have been available to me in the last week, and I didn't buy them. So,
oh no, I like the Wee Beastie. The Wee Beastie is. It's hard for me to say it's better than Ugadal because thus far, what I've had of Ardbeg, Ugadal is probably my favorite. But I definitely like the Wee Beastie better than the 10. Not that I don't like the 10. I enjoy the 10, but I do like the Wee Beastie better. But, hey, it's personal preference, man.
Seth Walker says, what does Taylor send to Jeremy?
A whole lot of fucking lip and ridicule and hard time and argumentative shit. And
I have sent Jeremy stuff.
No, he has sent me stuff. And I will give it to him. He's much more
prompt. That's why we don't talk about this, because I say, he's like, hey, can you send me this? And I'm like, print, ship that day.
Yeah. I actually, I don't know if Chad's still in here. I'm actually thinking about sending Chad back the most of those man cards of Liberty, the ones that I patinaed, because I thought about it. I don't really have a good way to put those on the site and do the things. I don't really have a good way to do that. So I don't know. I might ask him if he wants to do that, but,
apparently Chad was not here for the beginning.
Oh yeah. Chad, he did it in the beginning. For right off the rip, Chad, Taylor took no fucking leeway in jumping right in my shit about the fact that he could flip that knife.
Jeremy's still sitting over there going, and I'm going, look at that front flipping that shit.
Okay. Chad said he would. Okay. Thank you, Chad. Yeah. I don't really have a way to I guess I could take him to my local UPS store, but I don't even have a way. I'm going to give away a couple of them. Yeah, he did. He even front flipped it, Chad. He even front flipped it. He front flipped it.
Oh, I'm failing right now. Whatever happened to the dick whistles? I need to print some more. Somebody stole the original dick whistle.
And somebody had asked me about in the chat, since we're deep into it, we've been in the chat now for a while. Somebody asked me about the journals. The journals are coming. It's taking some time though, because I am it's not just going to be a journal where we just put like the logo on the cover. We're doing graphics on the pages with lines on where to put the notes and flavor wheels and my scoring system. And there's going to be artwork from the graphic artist that does the man cards and stuff. It's going to be a whole thing. They're going to be dope as fuck. I'm so excited about them, but because we're putting so much into them, it is taking a little while, but I'm not sure when they'll be out, but they're coming. Alec, me and you are buddies.
Can you read the comment, please?
Me and you are buddies.
Can you read the comment, please, Jeremy?
And I thought you were Team Jeremy, and I feel like this is a Team Taylor thing you're doing right here. And I'm looking down at my lighter. I'm not even looking at the screen because
Jeremy, can you read the comment, please?
Okay, comment. AB Cigars, Alec. There's a list of things. Jeremy has told me he was going to send me. UPS probably lost it. Yes. I'm not the best at sending shit. Okay. I have good intentions. And then I also have a very short attention span.
That's something I learned very quickly after we pulled the trigger on a podcast together.
Yes.
I mean, I should have known. All the red flags were there on the phone calls we had beforehand, but
yeah. Somebody said man card giveaway. We are going to do one. I know we're going to do one this week, but I'm horrible at shipping. I'm horrible at a lot of things. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ship them all back to Chad. I think I've got 12 or 13-ish, and I'll probably set aside 2 or 3 to do giveaways with, and then we'll probably do like a quick little drop on the other 10 at some point and do those. So Chad has boxes, he has shipping, he has a way to collect payments on the ones that we're going to do a drop on. So I'm just going to send them all back to Chad, and then like I said, I'll take 2 to 4 of them out and we'll do giveaways with them. But Chad and then we'll get them sent out much more expeditiously. Is that a word? Expeditiously? I feel like that's a word. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
Chad will get them sent out a lot quicker. So I'll send them to Chad, and then we can do a giveaway next week. I'll get them sent to Chad this week, so then we can do that. So yes. So I apologize. I know we were going to do one this week, but I promise you we'll do one next week. I will get them sent to Chad by this weekend at the latest.
I'm sure everyone here believes that.
No, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a note right now. I'm going to actually send a text message to my wife to send man cards to Chad. Remind me to send man cards to Chad.
Oh boy. Yeah, definitely going to happen.
Hey, let me say something. If I send it to the wife, it'll happen. Okay. Because she is on it, son. She is on it. The wife is way more organized and focused than I am.
That's a very, very low bar. Like, no slight to Allison, but I'm just saying.
No, it is.
That basis of comparison is horrible.
See, she responded. Okay. Yeah, it is a very low bar. I'll give you that. But she is probably one of the most organized people I've ever met in my life. Honestly, she really is. It's annoyingly so. Look at Chad. No worries. I'll mail you a box of prepaid return label. I love you, Chad. Chad's like,
Chad, if you do that, it's still going to take him like 3 weeks.
Chad is one of my favorite people, man. I love that guy. He sent me pictures of the desks today of like the people in his office. Like he sent, I forgot the guy's name that, what's the guy that does their shipping? Anyway, regardless of the names, I forgot the guy that does the shipping for him, but he sent me a picture of his and Joe's desk and his desk. Joe's desk is all like neat, has like a monitor, all this stuff. The guy that does the shipping, there's all these boxes and stuff. He's doing shipping. And then Chad just has a bunch of fucking whiskey bottles on it. And I'm like,
nice.
That's why Chad's my brother from another mother right there, buddy. He's just got whiskey bottles on his desk.
You see what Alex said?
Yeah, he could. I guarantee you he could. He could for sure. But he doesn't. You know,
Alex pretends to not be Team Taylor, but I think Alec is Team Taylor. Just saying.
How does Brantley is his name? How you know? I noticed in Sean and Dan, brain fart, stroke number one. That was my first stroke of the podcast. I'm doing good. We're like a couple hours deep, and I'm with my first stroke. But they have like custom icons they do in their live streams, and then people can like put like Team Dan, Team Sean, and there's like different, not just for Team Dan and Team Sean, but like there's like little icons, they custom ones they put in the live stream and people post and stuff. I don't know.
That's through like YouTube memberships, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's like when people donate and they subscribe for $5 a month or something. It's like Patreon, but through YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, once the channel set up, maybe we'll do that because it's fun, man. You see in their stream, people are bombing all kinds of weird fucking graphics, man. It's weird shit that's in there. They've got some funny little emoji type things that are pretty good.
We will definitely have a Taint fan one when we
dude, how would you even get an emoji of a taint? Could you have a taint? Would YouTube let you load a taint? I mean, you'd have to have a ball sack, right?
No,
like,
you don't have to have a taint. You just have to have a fan that is the Taint fan.
Oh, okay, I got you. You can just have a fan. Okay, because
what a boomer.
Well, I'm thinking you would have a fan blowing on a taint as the taint fan, but I mean, you know, that might be a lot to fit an emoji. You're probably right. I'm just saying.
Okay, so let's reel it back a little bit from the weeds that we inevitably get into with Jeremy here.
Weeds.
I want to ask, what was your first truck ever?
Okay. Now, this is going to get us back into a topic of
what is and isn't a truck. Was a Model T a truck? I don't know, Jeremy. I genuinely don't know.
The reason I'm saying is my first like 3 cars were Jeeps, right? I had the first thing I had was a CJ7. I had like a 1980, it was 83 or 84 CJ7. Then I had a YJ, and then I had a more current model Jeep. I don't remember what they started calling them at that point. It was a Safari. But I had several Jeeps. The first actual truck that I had, like pickup bed and stuff, was strangely enough a Nissan Titan. One of the first years they came out, the Nissan Titan. That truck hauled so much ass. It was so fast. I don't know why that truck was so fast, but it was a cool truck. I really liked it.
I thought you were saying that you had a lot of ass in the bed of the truck and it hauled that ass.
I mean, I was actually out of that phase at that point.
Oh, okay.
That was more when I had the Jeeps that there was a lot of ass getting hauled around. And then I've had 2 Chevy F-150s, Chevy Silverados. I've had 2 Silverados.
So my very first vehicle, I bought it when I was 15, actually, before I could drive, because I wanted it when I got my permit. But I got a Ford Ranger, 1994, I believe.
Have you seen
It was the most gimped Ford Ranger ever because it was a short bed, side step, like single cab, like no access cab or anything, like the tiniest little. It was basically a car. Because I think I don't know what the actual load.
The really old Ford Rangers were small, man. They were.
I was as tall as the truck.
Yeah,
it was like no longer than a normal sedan. Like it was the tiniest thing, and it had a camper shell. Like it was just such a weird configuration. But I loved the shit out of that truck.
Have you seen the reels? You know how reels come up and they reels on Instagram. It's kind of like TikTok, but it's reels. And it's like the thing was like Ford fucking Ranger. Yeah, bitch, Ranger. It's like this redneck guy like talking about, you haven't seen those yet? Oh, dude.
No.
It's always
I haven't.
It's always people taking Ford Rangers through like ridiculous shit that they probably shouldn't be taking a Ranger through. And he's like, yeah, bitch, that's a motherfucking Ford Ranger. It's so funny.
I wonder if it stems from Whistling Diesel, because several months ago he did a video. So if you're not familiar with Whistling Diesel or Cody, what he does is he takes these vehicles that are, I guess, cult classics or ones that people are just diehard fans of. Ford Ranger is one. They're like, my Ranger could do that. Or the Jeep is another, a Wrangler. They're like, the Wrangler can handle anything you throw it at. So Cody will go and buy one that's like mint. And within like 5 minutes, he destroys the fuck out of it. There's a clip where he's in a Ford Ranger and he's driving over these hills and stuff. And he comes down a hill and he hits this mud bog at like 35, 40 miles an hour and just comes to a dead fucking stop. Pops the airbags, and like the camera guy goes around the side of the truck and he's laying on the ground like, what the fuck happened? You drove a truck into a mud bog at 40 miles an hour in a Ranger, you know?
Dude, it's so funny though. I wish I could find one of my reels, but it's like this guy and he's in the back, and they always play the audio of him saying it over like a guy in a Ford Ranger doing crazy shit. And it's just funny because he's got like a very redneck sound to him. And he's like, goddamn Ford Ranger, take a Ford Ranger to do anything. Goddamn Ford Ranger can do that shit. It's so funny. And it's always like a Ranger going through like a river. You know what I mean? Like something you should not be taking a Ford Ranger through.
Floating down the river.
It's just crazy shit. It's funny as hell, man. My uncle had a Ford Ranger. I used to drive a good bit when I was a teenager. I used to borrow his truck sometimes.
Dude, I loved that thing. I got like 18, 19 miles to the gallon, maybe a little over 20. Dude, I loved that thing. But, I mean, truly, if you're thinking about in terms of truck, it's barely a truck.
It's barely a truck. There's a lot of those barely trucks, man. That Honda thing is barely a truck. Any of the like super small.
Okay,
trucks.
so to clarify, the Ford Ranger was barely a truck because it was so small.
Right. And that's not being
a Honda Ridgeline is barely a truck because it's basically a Honda Pilot. Let's clarify there.
What were the little Nissans that were so popular for so long?
Oh, it was just a Nissan truck. My dad had one until recently. In fact, I have to spend a second trying to find this thing. So it was just a square body or hard body Nissan truck. I think it was just a Nissan pickup, kind of like the pre-Tacoma was just a Toyota pickup.
It was very boxy and angular.
Yeah. Right? So let me show you.
There's about 1 billion of them.
Yeah. Let me show you my dad's, because
Nissan
drove this thing for over 400,000 miles. Was about to trip 500,000 miles. No exaggeration. The frame rusted and it was starting to go. It was about to break.
A lot of people are saying hard body.
Maybe that's what I said.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, everybody had those. And then for some reason around here, everybody like slammed those things back in the day. Like in like the 90s when I was like, a teenager, everybody used to like slam those fucking things and put them on like the spoke rims and shit. Like, and they would be like literally an inch off the ground. That was like the popular truck just to slam.
Do you want to see what my dad did? Where even is the...
Get it.
You ready? I don't think you guys are ready for this. I really don't think. Some of the people from the Discord have seen this thing before. But this is so my dad drove this thing for almost, he bought it new, I think, or at least like barely used.
Chad
drove it for almost 500,000 miles. Are you ready?
Uh-huh. What the fuck? That's Frankentruck, dude.
So the frame rusted on it, so it was almost useless. He needed to, utilize it some way. So he did this by himself without a lift. So what he did,
real quick, Taylor, not to interrupt your story, but you see Donald Shelton's comment. You'll enjoy it just because he's picking on me.
1890.
He says 1890. What a dick.
So my dad did this by himself in an afternoon. So if I remember exactly how he explained it to me, this was still on its full frame when he did it. The Nissan was. And he built some ramps. He drove the Nissan up onto the frame of a deuce and a half that he had shortened. He shortened the wheelbase of a deuce and a half.
Okay, I was about to say, because that front tire looks like
he shortened the frame of a deuce and a half, drove the hard body up onto it, and somehow chopped it up and welded the frames together, and then created a new drivetrain.
I love the fact that he cut the bed and you could see the obvious patch panel with the pop rivets where he didn't go through any, like, we don't need any cosmetics to this. We're just going to make it fit and fun.
Well, this is his quote doodle bug, right? So this is what he just drives around his farm on,
right? And I mean, yeah,
just for fun, because it's geared stupid low. It goes like 20 miles an hour tops. I don't even know if I'd trust it at 20.
You could start out in 4th gear. You're like,
you just take your foot off the clutch in 4th gear and it'll roll.
All these comments. What the fuck am I looking at? It gets worse the longer I look at it.
So this is what I grew up with, and not to give too much away, but and this is
happened here.
This is kind of what you can expect a little bit of on the Taylor Martin channel. So not Best MEDC, but my side channel. Not this. You're not gonna. Hell, I might try and do a video on this truck, but I want to build the things that my dad talked about when I was a kid, but he never did. That's part of what I want to do on the channel. And one of the things he talked about was restoring a hovercraft. He bought a Scat hovercraft when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and then it just died. I mean, the idea died, not the hovercraft. The restore was just way too difficult, so he never did it.
I'm sorry. Somebody just made a comment that I did not notice until the comment. They said, "Where the fuck did the rear fender wells go?" there's no rear fender wells. It's just straight, but it's up high enough that it doesn't matter. I didn't even notice it until somebody made the comment. They're like, "Where the fuck are the rear fender wells?"
Yeah, so there was body rust too, and he chopped the frame and everything. I mean, he just sawzalled the crap out of it and moved the whole rear end up.
That is redneck engineering at its best, my friend.
My dad is the definition of redneck engineering, but
it's great. It's great.
This is the hovercraft that I plan to restore.
Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So he bought that when I was a kid. The bags dry rotted, and that was the only thing really technically wrong with it. Now there's some cracks in the fiberglass that I would have to fix. But you can get a skirt kit for this thing for $500. He's still got the engine that's been kept in climate controlled conditions. Like, everything should be fairly simple.
Now, explain to me the hovercraft. Okay, I get the premise behind it, but like, how fast do they go? And they can go over water also, correct? Like, they can go land, water, anything. And what's like top speed on a hovercraft?
I don't know exactly. I would say that I've gotten this thing back when it was actually still functional. Maybe 20.
Yeah, so like
maybe 30. I don't know that I would want to go much faster than that. I wouldn't want to go 30 on a hovercraft because, like, when you turn,
it digs into the.
No, it doesn't dig. The fan shifts, so you've got rudders basically that control where the air blows, and that's your whole form of steering. So you're basically just getting a gentle push in the direction you kind of want to go. So if you're going 30 miles an hour straight and you just bank it, the thing is going to turn. You're going to be going this way and trying to go this way, and it's got to like catch up. Yeah. So if you want to turn, you have to turn way early.
Like a dog.
You don't want to go 30 miles an hour on a hovercraft unless you're on like open water.
Like a dog on a hardwood floor.
Yeah, exactly. Like dog on a hardwood floor.
Dog did that today. My mom came over and she always gives them treats whenever she comes over. So whenever she comes over, they get very excited. And Winston, my one dog, he came running through the hallway so fast to get to her that he went to turn the corner to like make and he just kept going sideways and just banked right into a wall and bounced off of it like a pinball. And I was like, you fucking idiot.
So this is the bulldozer that I learned to drive when I was a little kid. I was like 8 when I first drove a bulldozer. But to the left of this,
so fun to drive. Just
what?
Bobcats.
Oh yeah, Bobcats.
They're so fun to drive, man.
But to the left of this is the sawmill my dad built. So he built the house that the land his house is on. Like, he cut down all the timber, built a sawmill, cut all the timber, and built a house.
So,
but I remember when I was a kid,
you got to give your dad some props, though, dude.
Oh, no, he's off the charts, brilliant.
Anything.
He can do anything. Like, he's done so much. He's an engineer by trade, and he builds assembly line machines. He designs them, builds them, and puts them into operation. Like, he's really smart.
That's awesome.
But that sawmill, I remember when I was a kid. So when he first, this is kind of like an old farm thing. an old truck. You just drive the old truck up into the sawmill, take the body panels off, and hook that shit up, and it cuts wood. Like you hook up the blade to a truck engine and run the sawmill off a truck.
It's crazy, dude.
And I remember when I was a kid, it just stopped running. The engine in the truck stopped running. So he backs it out, pulls all this stuff out with a forklift, puts another one in, hooks it up, and just keeps going. Like you fixed the sawmill with another just drive the truck in and hook it up.
You know, is it just me or were dads? I feel like and maybe this is being kind of mean, but I feel like every generation, people get a little more, I don't know what the word, bitch. I don't know what the word is, right? Because like your dad sounds like he could do just about anything. My dad was the same way, right? Like he could build anything, he could do anything. He invented a fucking door that they used on trains for like 30 years when he worked at the railroad. Like he was a carman and welded. He was a master welder at one point. You know, like I feel like older guys like could do anything. And I feel like as we go and technology gets more advanced and people get away from doing that kind of stuff, there's less and less guys that can do all the shit that dads used to all be able to do.
Mr. Martin is American as fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so somebody said get Taylor's dad on the podcast. One, that never happened in a million years. I've only recently talked him into potentially trying to start a YouTube channel. And I don't know if it'll work. What really started getting him down that path was me saying, I want to restore the hovercraft. And I think that kind of jogged some stuff loose. And he's like, wait, what do you do for a living? Because I mean, I've been doing this for 8-9 years and he still doesn't know what I do for a living. Now he's finally starting to get it. And I told him, I was like, you should try it because you've got these crazy ideas. You just do crazy stuff all the time. And I told him, I said, I want to come through here and just have you talk about some of the stuff you've done because it's bizarre. He got bored one day, mind you, a day he got bored and built a CNC engraving machine.
Right. But see, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about though. Right? Like, I feel like my dad, your dad, dads of past times, and even me to a certain extent, because I've done a lot of weird shit in my life and I can build furniture, I can woodwork, I've built houses, I can frame, I can do a lot of this stuff. I feel like that used to be more normal, that a lot of guys were like that. And I feel like less and less going.
Yeah, but he was raised on a farm. Right. And if something happened to the tractor and they needed a part quickly, you can't rely on somebody to get that to you quickly, especially 40 years ago. So they just made it out of whatever they could. And that's what sparked that ingenuity. And now we're just like, I'll just Amazon it. It'll be here tomorrow. Like it's so easy to do. But what's really, really kind of sparked that in me is a 3D printer. So I bought this 3D printer and there are some things with this Land Rover that I bought that are broken, and to replace them is like $150. It's like this tiny little thing. And you're like, let me do some digging. And I start digging and people are like, just 3D print that shit. It takes 30 minutes. You can put that thing on your truck.
Right.
Boom. Done. Awesome. Sweet.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I
that makes it way simpler than what they were doing. I'm just saying like that idea of like, hey, I could print this. I could make this. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of sad in a way, man, because I think the days of men being men, and I'm using that term loosely. I'm not saying that guys that aren't into that kind of stuff.
Barn mechanic, I love you. You are now my favorite person.
Yeah. And I'm not
Jeremy the same generation as Taylor's dad. Of course he can MacGyver shit.
Yeah, and I'm not and look, I'm not trying to demean guys that aren't into that kind of stuff and saying if you can't do that, you're not a real man. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I just feel like the days of like men being like that is getting more and more rare. And I think it's kind of sad that
it is, but we have one among us, one of our peers, the old Zach Whitmore.
Right.
He is a man of, what do they call it? A Renaissance man is, I guess, technically what it would be today, but he's cut from the same cloth as those people. And there are more, right? There are more that are even like Mike Rowe. I think could technically be maybe one of those. I don't know if he would, but definitely Nick Offerman, Adam Savage, like
Right.
these hardcore people that like if they've got a problem, they solve it.
Right.
They don't rely on a bunch of other people, and that's a reason that I want to get into this second channel because I used to do that.
Right.
And it's been a decade since I've done anything like that, and I hate that fact.
And
I grew up with a dad who did this, and he taught me how to do it when I was a kid, and I just kind of like,
right,
let it go.
See, my wife used to give me a hard time. I don't do it as much as I used to because life's just kind of busy, like you said, right? And I don't have the time to get out in the garage and tinker as much as I used to. But just like I bought a welder at one point just because I wanted to teach myself to weld. And my wife is like, "Why the fuck do you need a welder?" I'm like, "Because I just want to know how to do it. Like, I just want to know that if I ever
need to weld, you can do fucking anything."
Right. I was like, "I just want to know how to weld." And she's like, "But you don't need to weld." And I'm like, "It's not that I need to, it's that I want to be able to. If something broke and I needed to weld, I want to be like, I can handle that shit." You know what I mean? I don't know, but I just feel like it's kind of a dying. There's still a lot of us out there, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's a bit of a dying, especially in the younger generations. Cause I've tried to get my boys out in the garage to like teach them how to do woodworking and do stuff like that. And man, squirrel. I mean, no interest. It's so hard to get them interested in doing these things. Where when I was a kid, I loved tinkering around the garage with my dad. I thought it was like the most fun thing ever, just to go out in the garage and just mess around with tools and shit. Right.
Yeah. And that's something I want to try to instill in my children. I don't know how well that's going to work, especially in a world where
it's hard.
Video games exist as
that's the thing,
pervasive as they are. But I would love to start this now so I can really just kind of get back into it. And then when my kids are 6, 7, 8 years old, do with them what my dad did with me, granted in like a better way, because his method was, you're doing that wrong, get out of the way. I would much rather, teach them through like, hey, here's how you do this.
Right.
But that aside, like, I want to be able to provide that to my kids. Be like, hey, what do you want to build? Right. And we build it, right.
Just for fun.
That's something I want to teach them. Right. It's not so hard to make things and build things. It's that first time,
right,
that is so difficult. And it's not really that it's that difficult. It's the fear of not knowing. It's the uncertainty and just not knowing how to approach something. But once you figure that some sort of stuff out, the next time around,
it's way easier.
A million times easier. So,
and I don't as much anymore because time, right? Time is a factor for me lately. But like, I know I had an old 4-wheeler back.
Jeremy, let me remind you, and this may be like, I don't know how it totally escapes you, but apparently it does. You have a series on your YouTube channel called Man Shit.
Huh? Yes.
This is man shit. And you can do man shit and call it work and knock out two birds, one stone.
It is. But
so what I'm hearing from you are excuses.
When I did some builds and stuff on my channel, they didn't necessarily do very well. Right. And they're very hard to film because you're out there trying to do stuff that's taking a lot of your attention and film and keep shit in focus and not ruin your fucking $3,000 camera with sawdust and all kinds of shit, so there's a lot of moving parts and they didn't do particularly well. Like they did okay, but they don't do as well as some of the other stuff that I do. So it got to be one of those things where I was like, you know how it is. You choose where to invest your time in videos because you're not going to put a whole lot of time into a video that just takes a dump and doesn't really do well. But
you say your builds don't do well, and somebody said I enjoyed your desk build. We built like the same desk, and you made a video about it. I think a little bit after I made a video about it. And your video, how many views did your desk build get?
I don't even remember.
Hundreds of thousands, maybe even a million. I don't know.
Oh, it definitely didn't get a million for sure. Not. No,
my desk build got like
they broke a million,
like 8,000 views. So. Don't tell me that your builds don't get views, but see, like with this Land Rover I bought, I've never built anything up. I've never built an overland rig. I've never done anything like this. I've never lifted a car. I've never put bumpers on a car. I've never done any of that.
I
And I don't care.
totally tricked out my Jeep that I had. I put the lifts on it. I did everything myself. It was a lot of fun. And that gets squirrely because you lift a car too much. There's a lot of shit you don't think about.
Yeah, you get angles wrong and stuff.
Fucking drivetrains are all fucked up, and your shift, even your shift linkage doesn't reach, and it's not right anymore. Your steering linkage isn't right, and you're like,
well, I was reading about this. Like, one of the worst things you can do with the Land Rover is fuck with the ABS cable. Like, that is one of the worst things you can do. Is horrible to have to replace. And if you lift it a certain amount, if you like max that thing out when you're off road, like with your travel, it will just destroy that cable, and you've got a really big headache on your hands trying to fix that ABS. Because if your ABS goes out, your traction control goes out, and something else I can't remember. It becomes a world of shit.
Let's also be honest. Brakes are kind of important.
Yeah, so like I'm just reading through stuff and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna throw this lift kit on there, and I'm sitting here thinking like, I wonder what else I need if I do that lift kit, because it's easy like to just buy that lift kit and want to put it on there, and then you've got to start figuring stuff out. You're going to be like, that's kind of tight.
Body lifts are easy to do.
Well,
body lifts are easy. Suspension lifts can get fucking squirrely. And I will say, does that thing have coil suspension or leaf springs?
Coil.
Okay, because coils are way more complicated than leaf springs. My old Jeep had leaf springs. Other than some of the linkages getting weird and having to get some adapters and stuff, when you lift something with leaf springs, it's fucking simple, man. You just jack it up, unbolt everything, put the new leaf springs on, bolt everything back, get some longer shocks, and move on with your day. I mean, you can do it in an afternoon. It's not bad.
Well, I fortunately have found a plethora of information about everything to do with this vehicle, which is one of the reasons I chose it, because I'm such a noob. But one of the things I came across is this adapter that adds like 6 inches to your ABS cable. It just plugs in and plugs in. And I'm like,
saving grace.
Yeah. Yeah. But there are so many things for that I mean, you can just Google anything wrong with it, and it's such an old vehicle now, and there were so many of them that you're eventually going to find a fix for almost anything to do with that vehicle. It may be difficult, but that's one of the reasons I chose this thing, is because it's extremely well documented.
2 things. 1, second cigar.
It's a truck.
Second cigar.
Oh, I thought we were going to finish each other's sentences.
We are. Second cigar of the pod.
Hang on, now let me zoom in.
Oh, wait, what the fuck happened?
You were smoking that on Friday, weren't you?
No, I was doing a Blind Faith. This is a Gatekeeper, another AB cigar. Really, really good cigar. The reason I thought about that is AB said he wanted to see a picture of the Rover. He didn't see it. He said he missed the Land Rover conversation.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I got a good picture of the Rover.
Yeah, show some pictures. Have you shown pictures of it since we've been on here? We talked about it, and you haven't shown any pictures. Let's see some pictures. See some pictures. This is a great cigar, by the way. Gatekeeper for the win. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is an Alec and Bradley. So this is one that Alec and his brother blended, and it's a banger. Alec, did you guys blend? You guys blended the Kintsugi, didn't you? That was an Alec and Bradley cigar. That's not an Alec Bradley cigar. That's one you and your brother blended, right? Am I remembering that correctly? I think it is.
All right, so it won't let me share the application with the photos. So I think I have to do this. Oh boy. Can you see it?
There we go. Dude, you had some good photos you sent me. Those night photos were cool.
Thanks. I took those last night.
The backed up shot of that one's better. That one through the trees. I like that shot because you framed it with the trees.
Yeah.
That's a good shot. I like framing. And I don't know what that building is, but it's a cool building.
It's just an old rundown barn.
Looks dope. It's like the perfect environment for a picture of a truck or SUV.
So this is about 30 feet outside my door where I currently am in my office.
That's just a cool shot. It's at night. You got the headlights putting some lights. It's just a cool shot. I like it.
Yep. So that's the old.
if you had some balls, you'd have come down this part over here on the right about 8 feet. You just went over that bitch. Fuck that little. You went down the easy part. I want to see you coming down these rocks. Is those rocks?
So it's funny because this picture makes that grade seem pretty tame. In person, like when I stepped out of the door, I opened the door, it flew open, and I dropped like 2 feet. Like it's actually pretty steep, but it doesn't look like it at all in this photo or any of them.
Back when I used to do a lot of off-road and stuff with my Jeeps and stuff, you're always surprised at how sketchy inclines look. They don't look that sketchy when you look at it and you're like, oh, I can go up that. And then you go up it and you're like, holy shit, this is steep. I can't even see. You start going over it and you don't see where you're going. All you see is sky and you're like, oh, fuck. And then it's not until you're already committed that you can actually see the slope, and it's kind of sketchy.
Oh, Stone said, show him the engine bay. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can pull up. This thing is 21 years old, but look how clean. I think I can actually pull it up through the messages I sent Stone.
I was looking at those pictures pretty close. Other than a little bit of damage to the bumper and stuff, that thing looks clean as fuck.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
Really, all you gotta do is just replace that bumper, and I think that's the only thing.
I'm putting metal bumpers on it, so
who gives a shit, right?
Yeah, that bumper doesn't matter at all. So let me try this. Yeah, look at that. It looks mint under the hood.
Oh my God, dude. For a 20-year, that car's 20 years old?
20 years old. 21, technically, yeah.
That's impressive.
Like my Tacoma was way dirtier than that under the hood, and it was like 6 years old. So yeah, this thing is really clean, and sure, somebody could have pressure washed the shit out of this thing, but I mean, I don't know. I've not had any issues out of it so far, other than like plastics on the inside have cracked and broken, and the bumpers are falling off, and there's a cracked headlight and tail light. But you take something off road, and you're gonna mess up some stuff on the outside. So I mean,
oh, somebody said we need to boot somebody. Somebody being a dick in chat. Somebody being a dick.
Somebody said that's called oven cleaner, but I mean it's. I mean, it could be somebody cleaned it, but I mean, it's so far. I've been driving it all week. I've put over 200 miles on it already, and it hasn't thrown any kind of issues whatsoever.
Can't tell. I thought somebody said somebody was being a dick in chat. We do not tolerate dickedness in chat. Somebody's being a dick. We will boot you.
I think I can view on YouTube. What I have to do is switch over and make.
We keep the chat friendly. If somebody's being a dick, don't be a dick. Yes. This isn't a place to be a dick. We have a zero dick policy.
So we're gonna make mod.
Make AB a mod. He loves fucking booting people.
You can continue to talk, Jeremy, if you need to.
I will. I'm just saying, make AB a mod. He loves booting motherfuckers.
There we go. Okay, I can't hear anything. Sorry, it switched tabs.
I said if you make Alec a mod, he'll boot the shit out of people. That's his favorite thing to do.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I made Chad and Alec and Stone mods. Stone is one of my Facebook moderators.
Yeah. No dickedness. No dickishness. Matt Fury being real quiet all of a sudden. What was Matt Fury saying? Was he being message deleted, message deleted? Oh, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
You don't know what?
I'm thinking about, the truck thing. The only problem with modern day trucks, right, is they're so damn expensive. You almost have to do what you did, right? And you go out and buy, like, you just tag something. What'd you just tag?
Let's just grab my water bottle.
No, you weren't, motherfucker. I saw you reach over. Don't give me that shit. Modern day trucks, the only problem, and look, maybe some people just have a shitload of money and they'll go buy a $50,000 or $60,000 truck and then drop it in the mud out in the woods and scratch it all up, and they don't give a shit, right?
I mean, okay, slow your roll, because that was my plan with the AT4, but I'm not like loaded.
But it's hard to do that, right? Like you almost have to have like your nice truck that you like drive around in, use as your daily driver. You maybe go to Home Depot, pick up some shit, whatever. And then you have like your fun truck or SUV, whatever, that you take out in the woods and beat the fuck out of and don't worry about, right?
It's a truck.
You know what I'm saying?
So if in a perfect world, I would have bought the AT4 and kept the Tacoma. Right?
Right.
Bought the AT4, kept the Tacoma as an overland rig, and I would have been set. Tacomas as overland rigs are kind of overdone because everybody uses a Tacoma because it's just a really easy platform. But I wanted to have that all-in-one vehicle, one that I could daily and at a moment's notice just hit the road and go camping. That's why I bought the AT4. I wasn't planning on like taking it on trails, but more so just like driving cross country if I have to. That's why I got the diesel for the excellent fuel economy. And I think it would have been perfect if I hadn't gotten the carbon fiber bed.
Right.
I think it would have been great. Yeah. But
you didn't realize it after you got it and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm stuck with this pretty damn expensive truck that doesn't work for what I bought it for at all.
I would show you this after we get off the podcast, but I figured I would show the people how fucking completely out of control my hair is right now. It's just like I haven't cut it in God knows how long, and it's a fucking. I cut the sides and I just leave the top, so it's just a hot fucking mess.
The good news is with the AT4, my current standing with it, I could trade it in and not really come out too bad.
Yeah, because you got a really good deal on it, so you're in good shape. You're not upside down on it.
Yeah, I'm not upside down. I could actually sell it, and I wouldn't make money like overall, but I would get money in pocket if I sold it right now, which is nice. But that's beside the point. I went a year almost after buying that AT4, and then I finally just got pushed to my limit. The whole reason was I wanted to do this overland vehicle, and it didn't work, and I had to wait and try and figure stuff out. It didn't work. So I started researching vehicles, and I had messaged you and a few other people, and I think I think everybody was like, "What are you thinking? What are you doing?" Because I was wanting to overland a Suzuki Samurai, and they're about this long.
Yeah, dude, we talked.
They're about this tall.
Can't get behind it, dude. It reminds me of that thing your dad built.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
some people have done it though. People have overlanded Suzuki Samurais and they're really cool. The only problem I had with the Samurai, there are two actually. One is that I can't take my kids. So it does have a back seat, but I mean barely. And if I wanted to put kids in the back, there'd be no room for any kind of gear or anything. So then you're talking about needing extra storage. So you'd have to pull a trailer or something. That defeats the purpose. Mm-hmm. As a solo rig, like me going somewhere, that'd be awesome. But once you start building up Suzuki Samurais, and I was going to do a TDI swap. So I was going to put a diesel in a Suzuki Samurai. I still may do it just for the hell of it because they're not very expensive. Right. But all of that aside, the other problem is once you start getting a Samurai lifted, bigger tires and everything, they have tiny engines. So you're going down the highway at 55 redlining.
Well,
and the fuel economy is fine, but you're redlining at 55 and that thing is like, it's just a bad setup.
And I have to,
they're amazing crawlers.
They got to be a bit tippy.
Yeah, they're not exactly. They're kind of top heavy. With a Land Rover, they get really tall when you start building them up as overland rigs, but they're super bottom heavy.
Right.
So it's okay that it's tall. They're very, very bottom heavy and very balanced, despite looking kind of funky. So the reason I ended up going with a Land Rover is affordability. I mean, I paid $4,000 for that thing, and I think I got a good deal. I mean, verdict's still out, but I think I did. I can buy brackets and put car seats in it if I wanted to go camping with the family, which is a possibility. Like that's a possibility in that vehicle Absolutely would not be with a Samurai.
No.
The fuel economy is is garbage on that thing. I'm getting about 12 right now, 12 miles to the gallon with no gear, no nothing, just driving around town. I'm getting 12 miles to the gallon.
They're heavy, bro. It's a
They're
big
very heavy. It does sound really good starting up though. That V8.
Once you start putting that thing down, man, it's going to be real heavy. You know, you start putting.
So there's a YouTube channel, Dirt Lifestyle, who has a Land Rover Discovery 2 Overland build with all of his gear on the highway. He's still getting 16. So that's good. I don't know if I need to try to do some optimizations and improve the fuel economy or what, but I mean, his is at least doing good. I hope mine can do better on the highway.
Hey, baby, you know the old redneck saying, there ain't no replacement for displacement. Okay.
That's true.
There isn't, man. It's true, man. I love a V8, bro. I love it.
Dude, that V8 is so nice. I've never owned a V8. Right.
What?
So my Tacoma was a V6.
Oh, dude, I love a V8.
I got rid of the Tacoma. I had a Honda, a 4-cylinder Honda. That thing was horrible. And then I got a Scion TC. I don't even know what engine was in that thing. I got a V6 Tacoma.
V8s, bro.
I had an inline 6. Maybe it was a flat 4. The FRS was a flat 4 Boxster engine.
Yeah, I love V8, bro.
Then I had the V6 Tacoma actually came after the FRS. Then I have an inline 6 diesel with the AT4, and then this thing finally I got a V8. That
what
thing
was,
is
what was that? What was that commercial back in the day? You got a Hemi? You about to find out.
Oh, God.
Dude, check out these little bougie Scotch glasses that the guys from Scotch Malt sent with the last. You ever seen these kind of glasses for drinking Scotch?
No.
It's like,
they look more like tulip shaped.
Yeah, they're and they got a stem on the bottom, even more so than like I think these are like
Glenny.
Yeah, I think these are like very Scotchy tasting glasses. They're very good for nosing because of how tapered this nose is.
Yes, here we are.
Trying some with this Alec, if you're still in the chat. I'm sure he's had one of these blind face with Glendronic because I'm Glendronic, so curious to see if he thinks Gatekeeper is going to go well together. Yeah, dude, how nice is that, right? Did he send you one of these? Were there any of these left?
No, I did not get a beard one.
The
leaf and barrel.
We're getting more of these in. Not already in. They're coming in soon, but yeah, you can see the difference between a standard Glen and this, right? So similar volume wise, but like this, the normal Glencairn has like a fatter base, and then this is a very tulip.
It's not a
glass type,
stem.
and this one is even more tapered. It's even smaller on the nose or on the top of the glass. And man, you can.
I was going to pour something in this, but straight out of the box, it smells kind of funky. So not going to be that.
They clean that with any kind of agent at the factory or whatever. You might want to, give that a little rinse with some water before you use it.
It smells like good old summer taint.
Summer taint. Glenn says,
I cannot pour much, but I'm going to pour a little.
Gatekeeper, give it a try. I'm about to. We'll see. We'll give her a roll. I don't think I've ever had a whiskey and a cigar that I was like, this is horrible, right? There are varying degrees of like, this is awesome. Actually, there's a leaf and barrel that I'm dropping tomorrow. It'll be out tomorrow. See, dude, that's the thing about a Glen, dude, is it's I think if I'm not mistaken, they're actually made of crystal. They'll give you that ting, ting. You don't get that out of any other kind of glass or any other kind of like, just standard, like the Bourbon Trail glasses. They do not do that, right? Only Glen's do. This has stuff in it. That almost does. It's too thick to ring, dude. That thing's thick as fuck.
It hurts my finger.
But but I've never had a bad whiskey cigar pairing. I've never had one that I was like, oh. But anyway, what I was saying, the leaf and barrel that's dropping tomorrow, a little spoiler alert. And Taylor, if you can get it, I think I told you this. Get please get some Elijah Craig toasted barrel.
Yep.
And then get a Steve Saka Sin Compromiso and have those together. I'm telling you, bro, that's one of my favorite pairings I've probably had lately. It's up there with my favorite pairings. They're delicious together. Can you hear that?
I hear you swishing.
Dude, that Glendronach, that shit is so good. I mean, it is a high level of goodness in that glass. Let's see what's going on with the gatekeeper. You need to get your shit so you can smoke some cigars on this, man.
Well, I am on an exterior wall, and I have a drop ceiling, and we were looking, and there may be some way for me to vent. So we'll see. The problem is I'm in a month-to-month lease in here, and I don't know how long I'll be here.
I don't know, Alec. That's pretty nice, actually. That's pretty. Oh, look, somebody said that the toasted barrel on the Kintsugi was beyond phenomenal. Man, that toasted barrel, I feel like, and that's why I say you really need to get a bottle. I feel like that whiskey is going to really do very nice with a lot of cigars. Like, it's just a good fucking sweet, nice.
Okay, so send me a bottle.
I wish I could, man. I can't get it.
I can't get it. You can't get it. How am I going to get it?
I don't know. Maybe you could have some. Ken Martin, one of my Patreons, good man. I don't know if he's in the chat tonight. He sent me that bottle, and I think he told me he's going to try to get another case. And if he does, I'll see if he can squirrel away a couple bottles for us.
Right, I'm looking at Reserve Bar, but I've already spent too much on whiskey lately. So.
Not an expensive bottle. Well, I say it's not an expensive bottle. MSRP is $50, but if what happens to a lot of them is if it's not available, the price skyrockets because of availability.
Okay, so it's not on Reserve Bar.
Oh, Alex says I can get it to be here in 2 weeks. I can what? No, he says I can get it and I'll be near you in 2 weeks. Oh, there you go. He said he's going to be up by you in 2 weeks. Alec can get you a bottle and give it to you when he's up there.
Well, I would appreciate that, Alec, very much.
Dude, it's delicious. Alec, have you had it? Have you tried it, Alec? What's your thoughts on it? I think it's fucking delicious. I love it. And like I said, I feel like it went really, really well with that Sin Compromiso, but I do feel like it would be one of those whiskeys that would go really well with a lot of cigars. Glendronach 15 is 100 by me, though. No, not Glendronach, Alec. Elijah Craig toasted barrel, bud. He can get Glendronach up by him, I would assume. That's not usually too hard to find. I'm talking about the toasted barrel, Elijah Craig. I have had both, but not together. Oh, okay. What did you think?
I need you to read this from Colin.
What did you think about the toasted barrel, though? Taylor, you would get that bottle from Jeremy like you got all your leaf and barrel stuff. Hey, he did get all his leaf and barrel stuff right there. See?
Like 6 months late.
Dude.
I felt bad for like the first few times. I'm like, hey, are you actually going to send this stuff? I felt kind of bad. And then it turned into a thing where it's like, nah, I'm never going to get this. I'm just going to give him shit until I do.
Well, here's the thing. I don't have any of it, right? It's all with Chad. And I'm not saying Chad didn't do.
It makes it kind of worse because you just have to be like, hey.
I thought I did. Maybe I did. I'm not blaming Chad because Chad is, let me tell you something.
No, Chad's got his shit together. Don't blame Chad. Don't bring Chad into this. Chad is on point.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not blaming it on Chad. Chad makes Amazon look like they ship slow. Okay, let's just get that square. I love toasted barrel. Yeah, those disappeared by me quickly, but it's not going. But it's going to be a yearly release. Yeah, it's supposed to be part of their normal collection now, so it's supposed to be out every year. But yeah, I couldn't even find a bottle up here. Like I said, Ken Martin sent me a bottle. It was impossible for me to get here, but it's fucking delicious. So good.
Jeremy, let's start fielding questions. I mean, we've been kind of reading comments this whole time, but let's.
All right, chat.
Send us some actual questions, some good questions. I saw a question a long time ago, way back, way further than I can scroll back. I don't know who it was from, but the question that I recall was, did you work for everything or were you handed everything?
I think that was the guy that was being a dick, and then they booted him and they retracted.
Probably.
Yeah.
Just to answer the question, I've worked multiple jobs. Like before I started working for myself, I worked multiple jobs since I was 15. Like when I was 15, I got my first job. Actually, the day I turned 16, I got my first job. And after working that first job, I had multiple jobs until I quit CNET a few years ago and started working for myself. In fact, one of the stipulations of working contract for CNET is that you have other jobs to prove that you're not an employee and you're a contractor. So I was required to keep my status with CNET. I was required to have multiple jobs. So yeah, I've worked for everything. I've averaged probably 80 hours a week since I was, I don't know, 20.
And to mirror what Taylor said, I got my first job when I was 14 doing landscaping just in the neighborhood we lived in. There was a landscape company that was doing stuff. And I asked him if I could get paid under the table just to help them like lay sod and do like just menial stuff just to put a little money in my pocket. And I've had a job since I was 14 of some nature. Obviously, when I was that young, it was part-time. I was in school and stuff, but I had some kind of job, made my own money. Cause even though my dad did good for himself and made a good income and could have given me stuff, he was a very big advocate of like, earn your own shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he never gave me anything. And don't get me wrong, I didn't want for anything. Like I said, he made a good living. We had a nice house and all that stuff, but he was a big advocate of if you want stuff, work for it, save up for it, and get it for yourself because you'll appreciate it more if you bought it rather than it just being handed to you. Mm-hmm. So no, I have not been handed anything my entire life. I've worked for everything I've ever had.
Yep. Except for that 38-year scotch that you have on your shelf.
Still worked for that.
I'm just trying to give you some shit. Where was it? Taylor, what band were you in? Well, I was in 2 bands when I was in high school.
You're in a band? How did I not know this about you?
First band, I was 14. It was a hardcore band. We were playing bars. I was 14. It's like 2 a.m. and I'm at a bar on a Friday night, you know?
Bass?
No, I did vocals, my guy.
Oh, didn't you say
I played bass, but
you said you played bass? I thought I remembered you saying that.
So at the time, my best friend went behind my back and started a band because I was playing bass and I wasn't very good. So he didn't want me to know about it. Mm-hmm. And I rolled up to his house, found out they were having practice and they didn't have a vocalist. And I'm like, I could do that shit. Give me the mic. And we just rolled with it. And I won't be very cocky about many things ever. I'm just not. I was a good vocalist.
You got a good voice? No shit. You can hold
singing. Like I can't sing for shit, but screaming.
Oh, that's right. Cookie Monster music. We talked about this.
Yeah, like like crazy hardcore shit back from 2004. Yeah, I was good at that. Couldn't do it today if I wanted to. But yeah, I was good for a while. Then after that band, I was in a band that was called Sienna, which you might, if you really, 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 really know how to dig, you might be able to find some of that music. The other band was called Forever in Despair, and they were signed and were actually being pressed into vinyl. I was talking about that. Dude, we were talking about that on Friday. Yeah.
Right. It's coming back. It's coming back. I got old man brain. You got to remember, I forget shit quickly.
Yeah. So the other band, I was like 18 in that one, and it was Forever in Despair. That band was assigned to a label. There was another vocalist for all the recordings. So any of the recordings you find online are not of me, but my old bandmate and really close friend Chad has all the recordings, and he has the recording of our last show, which I was on. And that one is actually being pressed into vinyl, the album that they had, and then the reverse side is going to be the recording of the live show for the last show. So I will actually be pressed into vinyl whenever that's out. I don't know when that's coming out, but I will get a copy, which is kind of cool. I'm pretty excited about it.
That is pretty cool. Somebody says, Johnny B says, any interest in Canadian whiskey, and not speaking of Crown Royal. Man, I've said this before on different videos and stuff, and I love my people up in Canada. Pete's a Canadian guys kill it. Paul Stulak is a Canadian guy that blends cigars I'm working with. There's a lot of good Canadians. So I'm prefacing that. This is the compliment sandwich, right? If you're not familiar with that, that's where you compliment somebody when you're about to say some bullshit that you don't want to hurt their feelings. I have not found any Canadian whiskey I like. Now, that being said, the backside of the compliment sandwich, which is compliment, insult, compliment. I've heard that there's a lot of good Canadian whiskey in Canada that they just don't ship this side of the border. They keep a lot of it in Canada. So maybe that's the case. I just haven't had any good Canadian whiskey, but
is that what they do with Irish whiskey too, or
Irish whiskey? I have not, and I'm not downing people who enjoy Canadian or Irish whiskey. I have not personally found a Canadian or an Irish whiskey that I particularly care for.
Same.
However, people keep telling me to try Redbreast cask strength. They say the Redbreast cask strength is really, really good, and I should try it. It's about $100 a bottle, and I just haven't been able to pull the trigger on it yet.
I really struggle to spend $100 on a bottle of something that I'm like, everything else in this category has been very meh.
Right, and that's where I've been with it. Every time I see it in the store, I'm like, I should get it because everybody keeps telling me, but I'm like, but then if it sucks, there's this other $100 bottle that I know is going to be good. So anyway, so that's it.
When I spend $100, I'm looking at Lagavulin 16 every single time.
Somebody else had asked what products we have dropping, so we should get to that at some point, but
we will at the end. Stone Alexander says on trucks, TRD Sport or TRD Off-Road. So this is the thing I hate about the TRD. I like the appearance of the TRD Sport more than the off-road, but the suspension and everything else on the off-road is better than on the Sport. So TRD off-road, but still that hood and some of the aesthetics of the Sport, like the plastic fairings or technically the fender flares on the off-road look a little extra. So give me the aesthetics of TRD Sport with the performance of TRD Off-Road.
There you go. I'm a little on either. Those are Toyota products, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, just give me a fucking diesel Toyota Tacoma and I will be the happiest man ever.
I don't think they do that, do they?
They don't. You can get a diesel swap. You can pay. So Toyota makes a diesel engine.
Oh, do they? I didn't know they did.
And it's very good, and it will fit in the Tacoma, but they don't put it in the Tacoma, not even overseas, or like the Hilux. I don't think there may be a diesel Hilux. I don't know. I don't want to claim that there's not. But there's a company in the U.S. that will do that diesel swap for you. The diesel engine will set you back about $15,000. That's just for the engine. The labor will set you back about $15,000. So you're buying a $45,000 truck and doing a $30,000 engine swap for what is still a Tacoma.
Yeah, see, man.
That's $75,000 for those of you who are keeping track for a Tacoma.
Yeah,
Toyota should just offer it as like a $3,000 option, and they won't do it. I don't know why, because that would solve all of the problems with the Tacoma. You would get probably a higher tow rating. You would probably get better fuel. You would get better fuel economy. You would get the beauty that is a diesel engine. Like that's what everybody wants in a Tacoma, especially for like off-roading and overlanding and stuff. You get better torque, everything. They won't fucking do it.
Can I just say your boy Stone Alexander? Some guy said something that seems a little off, and he said, "Are we going to have a problem?" And then the guy said, "You want a problem?" And then boot. He handling shit, son. Handling shit. I told you, man. Be nice in the chat, folks. It's always easier. I tell my kids this all the time, and I think I've said this on the podcast before. There's two rules of thumb you live by in life. It's always easier not to, right? Don't put your tongue on it. If you follow those two things, you'll be all right. It's easier not to start shit in the chat. Just don't be a dick. It's easier. It's always easier.
Kyle S., if you were going to buy one last whiskey tomorrow, what would it be?
Like the world's ending and I have to buy a whiskey. Is price a issue here, or just anything? Like anything?
Anything. Imagine price doesn't matter. That's what I'm assuming.
I don't know, man. There's so many good ones. That's such a tough thing. That's like asking what's my favorite whiskey. And anytime everybody asks me that, it's like it depends on my mood, right? Because
Not for me, it's easy for me.
Lagavulin.
Lagavulin 16, my guy. Every time. I've tried a ton of whiskeys and a lot of different Islas. I always come back to it. Always.
It's just so different for me though, man, because like I love this Old Forester store pick. I love it. It's so good. But then sometimes I'm in the mood for something like a Woodford Double Oak, which isn't a terribly rare, expensive bottle. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a really good Scotch, right? So it's really tough. There was only going to be one.
Okay. I will pose a different question. Really quickly, Josh says, Hilux has a 3-cylinder diesel. That's a really weird configuration. But I'm going to pose a different question.
Octomore.
Come back to that.
Punched in the mouth. I love Octomore. It's great.
Okay, so I've got a different question for you.
Okay.
So you answered his with the Octomore. Let's say money is an issue.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you have to consider the value, but you can only ever buy one whiskey ever again. Like one ever for the rest of your life. What is it? But money's an issue.
If money's an issue and you're trying to get, because this is inexpensive. This bottle was like under, I think $40. I think it wasn't. It was, if you're talking budget, either that or even though now I think distribution is going to be an issue because it was bought by Sazerac, so they're probably going to fuck it up. But early times bottle and bond, bang for the buck. I think that's like the best bottle you can buy. I still say that. Although, like I said, now Sazerac bought it, it could be totally fucked. But
never had it because it's not available to me.
It wasn't to me either. I had to have it shipped to me. But it was, I think, $24 for a liter, right? Right. It's fucking delicious, right? So
we're talking money and issue. This is my pick. I bet you can guess it. Can you guess it?
Well, is it if money? Probably the only thing I can think of lately that you've really said that's inexpensive that you really like is you've been a big fan of the Elijah Craig lately.
Small batch, dude. Do it. Just do it. Buy a bottle already. If you haven't bought a bottle of Elijah Craig small batch,
I'm telling you, if you like that, you're gonna fucking love the Toasted Barrel. Although you're not a big fan of really sweet stuff though. And it's pretty sweet.
Super sweet kind of gets me a little bit. Like
but it's sweet in the same way that double oaked is, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like clawingly like syrup sweet, but it's got a nice amount of sweetness.
If money isn't necessarily as much of an issue, it would be really truly a toss up between 1920.
Yeah, 1920 is on my list for sure.
And Lagavulin. Yeah. Like I okay, so this is going to sound bad coming from the guy who's like a through and through Isla guy, but when I'm at home and I'm smoking a cigar, I typically go for bourbon.
Bourbon goes good with cigars. I mean, Scotch does too, but
Scotch
bourbon,
a lot of the time is just like a little too intense for other things. Like Scotch is something you typically enjoy by itself.
Well, it's the kind of Scotches you drink.
Well, Islas, like peat bomb Islas, yeah.
Right. Like if you're going Speyside, Highland, stuff like that, like those are a lot of times light, nuanced, sometimes sweet. They go really well with cigars. But yeah, it is. Islas are the things that I have the hardest time pairing with cigars because they're just so fucking aggressive that it butts. You know what I mean?
Right. So what I do when I'm smoking a cigar and I'm like, this could be better. If I'm drinking a bourbon with it, I'll finish that bourbon and I'll go grab a Scotch, like an Ardbeg. And I'm like, okay, now I can just, whatever, this cigar's fine. Like just overpower the cigar, grab a Scotch, and it's fine.
We had the same question with cigars, right? So, and it was Jay Gunner asked if you could only buy one cigar, what would it be? And see, and I hate to always like sidestep these, but it's the same thing, right? I smoke so many cigars that it really depends like on my mood, right? Like it depends. That Kintsugi, probably the highest I've rated a cigar, right? That cigar is fantastic. And I feel like, and I know you guys are going to say it's because Alex in here. I don't even know if he's still in the chat. Oh, he is.
Yeah, he is. Because I'm gonna highlight him next, actually.
it's a great middle of the road cigar where it's not too strong, it's not too light, it's right down the middle of the road, right? So that would be a really good option. But then there's sometimes I'm in the mood to get my teeth kicked in a little bit, and I want like My Father or an AJ Fernandez or something that's really got a whole lot of just thump,
LFD.
right? So right.
I still haven't smoked that LFD. You made me a little gun shy on it.
Well, there usually a lot of nicotines in those LFDs because they usually use a lot of Lajero. But
it's a like 70 green gauge Lajero.
So
and it's like 6.5 inches long. It's a big ass cigar.
So it depends. I would say right now, and it also changes monthly because I'm always trying new cigars and then I like new stuff. But I would probably say either the Kintsugi or right now I've really got a hard on for the a couple of the Plasencia blends like the Alma Fuerte and the Alma del Fuego. Both of those are really, really good cigars. So I think some of those would be, or that damn Sin Compromiso, man. Those are right now some of my favorite cigars.
For me,
it's Liga number 9.
Liga number 9. Yeah, it would 100% because it just don't smell like aromatics alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I open my humidor and I smell each cigar, I would pick the Liga number 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that follows through with smoking it. It just does. But AB, Alex says, Taylor, I'd be curious if in a year you're talking about the same bottles, palates and preferences change a lot. No, they absolutely do.
They do.
Bourbon for me I've gone through like a roller coaster of bourbon since I met Jeremy, but Scotch, I've stayed pretty true on because I've been drinking these for probably about 3 or 4 years now.
He really has, dude. He has been I have tried hard to find something for him to butt up against Lagavulin. And even though he likes a lot of them, he's like, no, it's good, but it's still not as good as Lagavulin.
I choose it every time. Like there are days when I'm like, I want an Ardbeg over the Lagavulin, but every time my favorite is always Lagavulin 16. I think it's extremely balanced, which is what I really like. It's got that heavy peat smoke, but it's not necessarily a peat bomb like Ardbeg.
Sweetness underneath of it too, right?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything, and I think that's what I love about it. It's not like too much in one direction.
Right. Well, and it's funny. I just thought this in my head because as you were talking, I'm looking behind me at these bottles and I'm like, people ask me this a lot about cigars and whiskey. And I always feel like I'm sidestepping the question, but it's kind of like when people ask you about a favorite knife and you're like, man, it's so tough because I have so many knives that I go through on a regular basis that it's tough for me to narrow down just one. And I feel like I'm that way with whiskey and cigars. I drink so many different whiskeys and smoke so many different cigars that my opinion changes like fucking weekly.
So that's funny that you say that too, because I've gone through in the last year, probably like 200 different knives.
Right.
But now I have narrowed it down to one. I've carried this, I would say 90 to 95% of the time since Thanksgiving.
Right. Cause you said it's just like,
it's the knife. If I had to choose one, hands down, no question, it would be the Umnumzan.
Now, see, right now for me, it's between two. It's between my Nkosi because I really fucking love that knife and that damn TR3. I love that knife, dude. There's something about that knife that I just really, really like.
Alex said, "My bad. I meant bourbon." Yeah. My taste with bourbon, I think, has changed a whole hell of a lot. Especially even with like rye, right? Like I felt certain ways about certain ryes, and then you mentioned the eucalyptus bomb with bullet rye, and now I'm like, I can't even think about bullet rye without tasting eucalyptus.
Sometimes somebody will put a note and you're like, oh God, and you can't forget that they said that. And then every time you taste it, you taste that thing that they said.
Yep. That's 100% the bullet rye. Like,
yep.
Even thinking about it, I started thinking eucalyptus. iMac Death says, but is the love for Lagavulin because of Ron Swanson?
That definitely adds
no
points. It adds at least a little bit because I fucking love Ron Swanson. He's like the coolest.
Yeah, but that's how I found out about Lagavulin for sure. Like 100%. I was watching Parks and Rec, and I'm like, okay, he keeps talking about this. I got to try it, and that's what happened. Is I had $100 cash in my pocket. I'm like, I want to go buy a bottle of Lagavulin, so I did. Open it up, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
It is a good one, man.
And it's just stuck with me ever since.
It is a good one. Alec, real quick, buddy. I'm not going to say it's the best pairing ever, but I really like the Gatekeeper with the Glendronach, man. I think the sweetness in the Glendronach is doing some nice things with the Gatekeeper. It's not perfect. You're right. It's not a perfect pairing, but I like it, man. It's pretty good.
Perry McKinney, if you weren't doing YouTube, what would you be doing? I don't say y'all. Sorry. I'm from the South. I'm from like mountains, backwoods of North Carolina. I still don't say y'all. Sorry.
I say all the time.
I don't say it. I say you all.
How are
you
or
you
nothing.
all?
That's just too much to say. You all, like, just y'all.
What would you be doing if you were doing YouTube?
Shit, man. I don't know. Probably being miserable. Because I had a 9-to-5 job that I fucking hated before I started doing YouTube. And my whole life I had not my whole life, my whole adult life after I had like a career, I was doing that to pay the bills because it was a nice steady income, trying to figure out a way to get out of it because I fucking hated it. So I don't know, man. I'd like to think that somehow I would have ended up in this because I kind of feel like this is what I was meant to do.
Wow. What is this, like a Miss America answer?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that. I really enjoy doing
peace.
No, but I mean, I really enjoy doing this. So, I mean, in my whole life, it's been doing what I had to do to pay the bills and trying to find that thing that I really enjoy doing. And also I was able to make a living at. I can't think of anything I'd rather be doing than this. Right.
So Alex and I talk about this a lot. Not a lot. We have over the years talked about it a lot because there were times where it looked like YouTube was not going to be my thing.
Right.
Many times, actually. And I had to think about it a lot. Like, what is my plan B? And for a long time, my plan B was wedding videography, which I would probably shoot my brains out. Like,
so stressful.
I can't even. I hate. This doesn't come from a place of selfishness. I hate making videos for other people. I did it for 8 years. I didn't like it. I hated almost all of it. And I don't mean like for brands and sponsors and stuff like that. I mean like when somebody's like, I want you to make this for me. I can't do it. So if I weren't doing YouTube, I would, like, if I had my way and money weren't really a concern, which isn't really the question, I would probably open my own machine shop and just make shit. But regardless of that, like if I can't afford CNCs and CNC mills and all that, I would probably still be making something.
Well, and that would be my only other thing is I never could make a good living at it. But the only other thing that I really enjoyed doing was woodworking, right? Like I would make tables and do different stuff. And I enjoy doing that. I enjoy making shit, right? Which I know YouTube is it's not working with your hands the way that woodworking is, but making something of some nature because creating shit, whether it be something tangible like a table or a chair or whatever, or a video, I enjoy the art of creating stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. So if I were to, like, let's say money is an issue and I've got to figure out what I'm doing after YouTube fails or whatever, I would most likely go buy like a plasma cutter and just start making metal signs for people. I think that'd be the quickest way for me to like just turn something new into money and then just go from there and snowball it. There's no way that I think I could ever feasibly go back to work for somebody else. Like if I had to, I would, but only for the amount of time that it would take for me to come up with something new.
Mm-hmm.
That's after you feel the taste of working for yourself. And I know it's not for everybody because there are people in my family who are 1,000% company men and will be happy working for somebody else for the rest of their lives. That's not me. I can't do it.
Right. Well, and
I tried for almost 10 years and I never liked it for a second.
Well, and that's why I said, like, you're like, somebody said, get a little touchy feely. And you said, that's a fucking, a pageant answer. But when I say that, it's because it's the first time I've ever in my life been satisfied with what I did. Right. It wasn't just a job, right? Like I enjoyed what I was doing. When I worked at the railroad, it was a job. It was a career in the fact
the live long day.
It was a career in the fact that it was a good company and it was a good benefits and also it was a career, but it was a job in the fact that I didn't really have love for it. I just did it because it paid the bills, right?
Yeah. And when it comes to something like this, like, I know everybody wants to be a YouTuber. Not everybody. I'm generalizing, but a very large percentage of people want to be a YouTuber or content creator or something because they perceive it as something that's simple and easy and you can do what you love for a living. But the truth is, once you get deep into this and it becomes your day to day, the more you do it, the more you begin to realize there are a lot of caveats and you have to be okay with those
Mm-hmm.
to do this full time. Like today, all I wanted to get done was a video that I shot on Monday. It's all I wanted to get done today. And I spent 6 hours of my day today, maybe pretty close to that, on the phone.
Yep.
Like trying to figure out stuff with this person and trying to figure out stuff with this person and emailing and like just trying to figure stuff out that has nothing to do with anything anybody's going to see for months.
Tuesdays. That's my Tuesday every week.
Yeah.
It's just phone calls and shit that I just always, every Tuesday, I know I'm not going to get a fucking thing done because I'm on calls and emails and this. It's back end stuff. Tuesday is back end day.
Yep. And then like buying a house becomes difficult. Taxes become really complicated. Like so many things become complicated. But at the end of the day, for me, it's worth it. For some people, it may not be.
There's a good question, Taylor. He says, you've gone up and down on big knife, little knife since the time of the channel has started. So it's not really a question. I think it's just more like, so did you settle with big knife or little knife? Are you a big knife guy or a little knife guy?
I'm back and forth always. Like Stone says, I'm always back and forth. But if I had to choose one, and you're going to say the exact same thing as me, if I had to choose one, it'd be a big knife.
You can do everything with a big knife that you can do with a little knife, but you can't do everything with a little knife you can do with a big knife.
Yep. When I carry a small knife and I need to like cut an orange or apple in half, I'm like turning it around. It's just like
they're just not up to the task of certain things just because they're small, right? Where a big knife, you can usually do all the same shit you can with a little knife plus more.
Also, let me just plug it for the 9th time this podcast. The Newman, if you need to know what the best knife you can buy is, I can't say for certain, it might be the Newman.
I think Chris Reeve.
yeah, just buy a Chris Reeve knife.
Somewhere in his lineup, I think you would find something that might be your knife, right? He does.
Umnandi. I don't know how to say it. Mnandi.
He names his shit some weird stuff.
They're all South African. Chris Reeve is South African. They're all words from South Africa. Newman means the boss. I have no idea what Nkosi or Sebenza means. I think Sebenza means workhorse. Yeah, I don't know what Nkosi means.
Workhorse or something. I don't know what Nkosi means either. I think I read that one time.
Maybe it means weak thumb.
That's exactly what it was, actually. No, it was. I think you say it means like supreme or the best or something. It was something to do with, because I think the Nkosi was supposed to be like his like upgrade to the Sebenza. Like I thought is the way he like designed that.
Oh, maybe the Sebenza. I thought you meant the design. Let's get real. Don't step over your bound there.
Chief. That's what it means. Nkosi means chief.
Chief. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great
mm-hmm.
chieftain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that's probably a good place to wrap this up. We've been going for 3 hours.
It's 11.
I'm kind of tired.
Bug out
here for a long time.
Bug out.
What?
Sorry, it was a quick one. Somebody said bug out or para 3 lightweight. I said bug out. Now, if you said if you said normal para 3, I'd say para 3.
I'd probably go para 3 lightweight.
See, I'm
just
lightweights. I'm not. I mean,
have you ever handled one?
They're fine, but I don't like the kind of scales that come on them. I don't like those scales. I've had knives with those scales on them before. I don't like them.
FRN?
Mm-hmm. I don't like them.
You know, G10 and FRN are practically the same thing.
What the fuck is GTN?
G10.
Oh, I don't like G10.
G10 and FRN.
I don't like G10 either.
So FRN and G10 are both fiberglass reinforced nylon. G10 is milled. FRN is molded. That's the difference.
Yeah, I don't like either one of them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I got plenty of knives with G10 scales and they're fine, but like I would much prefer titanium or micarta or brass or really anything other than G10 or
FRN.
RN. Couldn't remember. I brain fart.
Fiberglass reinforced nylon.
Fiberglass reinforced nylon.
FRN.
Dude, I haven't even carried it. I bought it and I don't think I've carried it but like 2 days, but it came out. And I was like, oh, it's cool. And I pulled the trigger on it. And then I don't think I've carried it. Is they came out with that Para 3 or Paramilitary 2. No, 3, 2. Oh, fuck. I get them mixed up. The Tonto. What did they come out?
Paramilitary 2, PM2.
PM2 Tonto. Yeah, I bought that. It's a cool knife, but I mean, I haven't carried it. I don't know. It's because about the same time I got the Chris Reeve knife and stuff, and I was like, oh, the Chris Reeve is way better than that.
I very strongly thought about getting the Umnumzan and Tanto, because most of the knives I have are drop point. But
well, there's a question for you that I'm throwing out there, even though we said we're going to wrap it up. What's your favorite blade shape?
Drop point.
Drop point. It's definitely the most universal, right?
Yeah. I think in some situations a sheep's foot is more practical.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I can do most of the things I can with a sheep's foot with a drop point, and you get the added benefit of having that little pointy tip.
Yeah, you get a little pointy tip. You got a little bit of belly on it. You know, it's good for slicing. Getting in there, and you can do some detail work. Get your finger on the tip of that knife if you needed to like skin something with it. You can get in there.
So look at this, the old harpoon swedge on the.
That's a good right there for your finger.
Look at that.
That's when you're skinning. You get that finger up on the tip, and you get in there. Usually, when you're skinning, you get your finger even further up on the tip, and you get in there. And isn't micarta just reinforced fiberglass? I don't think so. It's usually like canvas with some kind of resin in it.
Yeah, it's resin filled canvas.
Yeah, well, they have canvas, and then they have
or resin filled fabric or whatever.
Yeah, they have different types of micarta.
I had ramen micarta at one point, and I've seen coffee micarta. So people are getting kind of creative.
Dude, can we do whiskey barrel micarta?
No, because that would just be wood.
No, but couldn't you like get like a really
stabilized wood? So what Benchmade does, especially with like the Crooked River, is they make a stabilized wood, and I think they grind it up and then mold it or mill it or something. They fill it with resin, and so it's a stabilized wood instead of just having wood scales.
I don't know. I just think that would be pretty cool to have like a whiskey barrel stabilized wood handle. I think that would be pretty cool. Or coffee micarta. It's my second favorite beverage.
Coffee carta.
I can
Carhartt carta.
Carhartt carta. That's a fabric, right? Carhartt
carta. Yeah, you buy a Carhartt jacket, cut that shit up, and make it micarta. I want some flannel micarta. Actually, I've seen some. It doesn't look good. Never mind. Let's wrap this up. Someone asked earlier what drops you have coming out.
Oh yeah. We got lots coming out, but the most recent ones that are coming soon, day after tomorrow, Friday, we are dropping the flasks, right? So you'll be able to get the what Taylor's got in his hand right there. You will be able to get just the glass flask by itself if you are just wanting to rock it naked with the glass flask with the machined brass cap, or you can get, by the way, that looks sexy as fuck with whiskey in it. Dude, the way the light plays with it when you put whiskey in it, it looks so damn good.
I bet it would look even better with some Truly.
Well, Truly's clear, isn't it? So, I mean, you know.
Bubbles and stuff.
Bubbles and stuff. What are you, fucking Michael Jackson? Bubbles. Or you can buy with the leather sleeve there that goes on it. That will be dropping Friday. So that is the next thing. We've got the journals that I'm working on, but we're still in the kind of process of getting all that shit worked out. So that's a little while away. Man card version 2s. Oh man, I would show you guys the early drafts of the artwork that's going to go on the man card version 2s, but I don't want to ruin it yet. But oh my God, they're going to be so fucking dope. I don't know when they're going to drop yet. They're probably, I would say, at least a month or two out before we'll have them, because we're still finalizing the artwork and getting it all worked out. But they're going to be dope, but that's still a couple months out. But the two things that are closest that are going to be soon is the flask. And I think within a week or sooner, we'll have more of the Glens in. So that's the newest stuff coming up.
The only stuff I have coming up are shirt designs. I think, yeah, that's all I have coming up. I have the truck decals they're still on the site, but that's
and you should say truck decals
or metal emblems,
toolbox. They could be used for multiple things other than just trucks.
You can put them on your Land Rovers because Land Rovers are trucks.
Oh my God, you fuck! They're not for sure.
Yeah, they're metal emblems that can go on whatever you want, except for your Yeti. Apparently, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put one on the back of this thing. Actually, it's curved. I can't do that either. You know what? I'm going to put it on the bottom of this. Just cover up that leaf and barrel.
We're working on a new bottom stamp for the next round of those whiskey glasses too. He says, Steve Shanahan says, 2 months, please. I'm broke from the ashtray. Dude, the ashtray was expensive, bro. And I promise we tried to make those ashtrays as cheap as we could for you guys, but they were so fucking expensive to get made. We had a conversation on this before, so I won't get too deep into it, but fuck, those things were expensive.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out and bearing with us for the last several months.
Somebody asked something about your merch that I don't know if you want to talk about it or not.
What? I don't know what they asked.
About
any progress for the flashlight. So
address that or not. I didn't know if I thought maybe
we hit a snag. And by snag, I mean we scrapped it and went back to square one. So progress is more of like a regress.
it's kind of
it's a process, and we have found ourselves looping back to the very beginning. So,
and in Taylor's defense, the stuff that I've done has all been, we had to do it from the ground up, but it's things, right? Flasks, whatever. I mean, he was trying to engineer a fucking flashlight, dude. There's circuitry and circuit boards and power supply. I mean, there's a lot of technical shit that goes in, and it makes it way more difficult to get that kind of stuff done.
Yeah. So what happened is, not to go into too much detail, I was trying to do too much in a very small flashlight. Didn't work out. So we're going back to the drawing boards, and we're going to start bigger and go smaller. Not too big, but we're going to start with my preferred flashlight size, which is what I should have done to begin with. But yeah, long story short, back to square one. So, yeah.
I just thought you should address it because I know there's people probably waiting on that. So I saw that question and I was like, it's probably a good time just to give the people an update. Give the people.
Well, once again, thank you guys for hanging out and sticking with us for the last several months through all of the crazy stuff that Jeremy and I have had going on.
We love all you motherfuckers.
We do. And very, very soon, we're going to finally make this podcast what we truly envisioned it to be from the very start, which is not Jeremy going off into the weeds about.
Oh, I'll still go off into the weeds.
You still will, but I think with a guest on the podcast, we might have a little bit more structure.
Yeah. Well, like
bit.
We're gonna Alec, if he's still in here, he is. We're thinking of some cool ways to incorporate him onto a podcast, like with the pure. I can't say that word, but anyway, doing some stuff with Taylor and cigars and stuff with Alec. Michael Bluth from Das Affinamir, Chad from Big Idea.
It's Open Sea Leather, my guy.
Sorry, it is Open Sea Leather, right? Yeah, so there are lots of cool guests that have already agreed to come on, and now it's just a matter of getting back into the groove and schedule and all that stuff. The Bourbon Junkies still have to come on, so cool stuff in the making, man.
I don't know. I heard about some stuff Dan said. What seems like he's more Team Jeremy than Team Taylor, and I don't know if we need that.
That's because me and Dan, I mean, I am a heterosexual male, but if I wasn't, Dan would be my boy.
he also has talked trash about my whiskey, my Prairie Bourbon from.
I mean, he was just straightening you out that you need to open your horizons with that company because they make some truly great stuff, and that's not the best one of the batch. I think.
I liked that. I like the way you said "truly" there. Anyway,
every time I say the word, I'm gonna have to start using the word "that" and start having to be like really or accurately. Like I don't even know how to fucking.
Guys, we're eventually gonna whittle Jeremy down to saying like yes,
yeah, I'm gonna
no,
be grunts.
You know what? I'll make that into a soundbite too. I don't care. Look at that. Boom. Got it. Thank you guys for hanging out. Be sure to follow us everywhere. Everything is linked in the show notes. You can follow Jeremy and myself, our second channels, the whole shebang. And we will be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, not Eastern Standard, because don't forget to roll your clocks forward this weekend.
Oh, that's coming. I can't.
Hour of sleep. Yes, this weekend. Which means if you want to do a winter EDC update, you got to do it in the next few days, Jeremy.
I won't be.
I won't either.
I won't get to that thing. My EDC is boring because I'm at home all the time because of Rona. So, you know.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys. We will see you next week.
Love all you bitches. Bye-bye.
Bye.